This is so that I can throw pictures up. Oh, poor Cameron.
It's not. I know. I saw that. Isn't that terrible?
Oh man.
What's up?
So she skipped out on the game tonight so that her kids could play with her friends' kids, and then her friend flaked out on her.
Oh, boo.
Yeah.
Man, that blows.
That friend is a little flaky, I have to say. She is.
Well, I think we all have those people.
She actually works at Portland Public Schools right now, so
Oh, then
very appropriate conversation we had.
Let's see. Okay, so first of all, I will introduce us. This is actually Pirates of Droinax on a Sunday, but we're doing an in-person, limited edition in-person game. We will be doing Theories of Everything tonight. Just as soon as I figure out where I'm at. But before we get started, I would like to thank the Friends of the Greenwater Guildhall, of which you are looking at our game table here in the Greenwater Guildhall. The first on the list is the Speechless Bard. She and her husband make beautiful leather products for your tabletop games, and they just do amazing work, such as covers for your core rulebooks. She has a full line of dice bracelets. A very popular one for the month of June is the Pride bracelet, where every dice cut out on the bracelet is a different color. She has a dice rolling mat that when you roll it up, it looks like a spell scroll. They just do amazing work. She is over in the UK, so if you're going to order from her, make sure that you give it a little bit of lead time. It takes a little while to clear customs and cross the pond, as they say. And the last on the list is the Fable Beard Company. Fable Beard Company makes beard products, obviously, such as oils, balms, butters, and co-wash. And each of their scent profiles is a different fantasy character. Right now I'm wearing the Hero, which smells of warm cologne and rich tobacco. Or maybe it's the other way around. It's one of those. I'm sure that they have a scent profile that you would find pleasant. And if you're a first-time purchaser, you can put in your email address and put 2 beard oils into your cart and use the code FIRST, and the second beard oil will be discounted to 0. So, going to go back in time just a little bit, back to when the crew was still on Marduk. Beth Smith and Rexar and Bakasura are moving around the port, kind of doing ship's businessy type things. And the 3 of you are actually approached by the Judeco starport administrator for Marduk, and are called into his office. And he introduces you to a very pleasant Vargur. No, that's not what I want. Let's see here. Oh, I know why I'm not finding it. Because I'm dumb. Yes. Speaking of tech problems, VPNs. What the fuck?
Hey, no, it works. What I'd really like to do. Copy that. Here, I thought it was all slick and all ready to go. So this individual,
He is introduced as Alfred Banks. That's clearly not his real name. Vargar names are notoriously difficult to pronounce. His real name is Olekfadzo Ranksa, but Vargar typically choose a human-sounding name so that they can get by in imperial society. And Alfred not just introduced as Alfred Banks, Professor Alfred Banks. And Raf, you are more or less familiar with him. You're actually a little bit awestruck. He is and you've all seen Alfred before. He is very well known for a book that he sold, basically explaining in layman's terms. You two found it terribly dumb, but it's more or less accurate. And the book was called 1 Week, More or Less, Jump Space for the Working SOFA. So Raf, not being an engineer and having limited piloting experience, you found it quite interesting. Basically, the book goes into detail about what is jump space, what do we understand about it? The real answer is not much. Why does this work, etc. But rather than giving off mathematical formulae and explaining the mechanics of a jump drive, he went about it like, jump space for idiots. And that book sold so well, it kind of propelled him to a video television career where he's brought on as the celebrity scientist every time a news broadcast needs somebody to know what they are talking about. And somebody made the mistake one time, one of the reporters, of referring to him as Professor Alfred Banks. He's not really a professor. He doesn't have a doctorate in anything. But come to find out, Professor Banks is one of the scientists who is a co-owner of a laboratory ship called Insight 3. And Insight 3 has recently come into the Trojan Reach to do a series of scientific experiments. Their travel plan is to hit, their travel plan, routine, whoever they're going to hire, he's hoping that they'll bring you on, as is the starport administrator. Routine flight tests and crew orientation, research into aquatic and maritime life on Marduk, a collection of rock, soil, and water samples from Marduk, then transit to Borite, collection of rock, water, and soil samples on Borite, plus investigation into trace minerals on the surface, investigation of ruins located on Borite that was previously excavated by a previous expedition, then to transit to Noricum, routine calibration and verification of instrumentation at a mining station on the moons orbiting a gas giant in Noricum, transit in-system to Noricum itself, collection of soil, water, and air samples from Noricum, exploration of a site of archaeological interest on Noricum, then transit to Thebes, and the mission will conclude, and you will be ferried back here. He is offering to pay 700 credits per day So a trip of this magnitude, you could each
At
walk.
least a month.
Yeah, you guys could walk away with 20 grand each, easy.
Okay.
And that's including all bonuses and anything else. Obviously, he's hiring Ching Shihh as a pilot. They have a pilot, but so a lab ship is a ring, and there is a central spoke, and the central spoke is actually a docking collar, and in the docking collar is parked a pinnace, and the pinnace is used because the lab ship, obviously, it's basically a jump-capable space station, for lack of a better term, can't land. And so the pinnace goes down and drops the supplies and whatnot. It even goes so far as goes down to pick up fuel or whatever and bring it back to the lab ship. And so they have a pilot, but she's the one who owns the pinnace, and the pinnace can't be going places and be piloted by her at the same time. So getting to the systems and any kind of inter-system travel would be Ching Shih's ledger domain. They have an engineer named Price who is doing a fantastic job, but you know, if we're going to buy a crew part and parcel, an extra engineer is always helpful, especially somebody that is well versed in jump drive and jump mechanics. And then, of course, being out, he kind of says usually field work is below me, but being out in the field, I recognize that there are some times where protection would be necessary, and I have heard from the administrator here that Raf is an excellent choice and kind of the everyman, if you were, for Johnny on the spot, you know, finger guns or repairs or emergency piloting. She's basically the handyman of the group that runs around doing a million different jobs. And so the administrator, he's kind of pulls you aside away from him, and the administrator says, you guys would be doing me a solid by getting this asshole out of my office. Because I am sick to death of listening to him go on and on about this damn book, and you know, the faster you can get these guys away from me and I can get back to doing, you know, administrator things, that would be great.
Super duper.
And the administrator tells you, he kind of says, I am aware of some of your activities, and he kind of
Well, they haven't started up quite yet at the timeline.
well, there was one ship that you had pirated
Well, yeah, just one.
that had sent out the distress call, and he goes,
Okay.
Little one.
Yeah, it was a little
It
one.
was just a little
We
one.
were really just borrowing stuff.
and he says,
We just need to give it back.
I would be willing to ignore all of that and grant you landing access to the surface whenever you want, and I will grant you a code.
Nice.
Okay.
Essentially,
I
what
trust a bunch of miscreants.
this will mean is that Marduk will become a haven.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So, if you ever need to run from the law, you
So
can
is
always-
that where we can park our space station?
Your space station is actually parked on the gas giant outside of Borite, which you haven't actually technically found yet at this point
Right.
in
Well,
time.
I'm just wondering if, like, then when we flash forward, if we need to move said space station, maybe we could.
Space stations are kind of
Marduk.
hard to move.
Are they?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it got there somewhere, so.
Well, it was probably built there. But honestly, where the space station is kind of an ideal location. Because if you were, so I'm just spitballing here. So you've got a space station that will soon be in stable orbit around a gas giant that has in the upper layers liquid hydrogen. So you could buy drones, or even if you wanted to hire a shuttle pilot to do it, to go down and skim fuel, store it at the station. Technically, you could actually make a profit selling that. Or, you know, your own pirate ships, which I foresee in the near future having more than just the one, can drop in there and refuel without, refuel and immediately jump, like within an hour or so.
Right.
So it's in an ideal location, and it's, nobody's gonna come looking that far out. I mean,
Okay.
nobody really comes to Borite anyways,
Nice. Okay.
until now. So, so they ferry you, the pinnace, you find the pinnace,
or they take you to it. Just like that. There we go. This is the pinnace, and that in the background is the
lab ship. The pinnace is named Chubb. Nobody can seem to remember why.
Sure.
You know, as it were. And it is actually captained by a woman named Lynn Morgan. She owns it and kind of has hired onto the crew. Something happened to the first pinnace that they had. She's not quite sure, but they were down a ship, and so she hired on with hers, and she kind of just works as a mercenary pilot for them. And they bring you aboard Insight 3. You dock with Insight 3.
I need to find this picture because it is kind of great. Oh, there it is.
So you dock at Insight 3, and where the emergency vac seats are, this is the note that you see taped up there. And when the docking door opens to the interior, where did it go? This is essentially what awaits you. The place is a complete and utter disaster, and you see this woman running around trying to pick up, like in a last minute hurry, like, you know, her in-laws are coming over.
Right, doing some shade cleaning.
Right, but she's clearly not fast enough, and
So this is on the lab?
this is on the lab
Oh,
ship.
lab ship, okay.
Yeah, and so this is the woman, she looks up, and she kind of smooths herself out, just drops a box and kind of smooths her clothing. She says, "Oh, you got here sooner than I expected." And Lynn says, "No, we got here pretty much exactly on time. I mean, there's not a whole lot of variation."
Right.
And Alfred chides her and says, "Oh, yes, you just procrastinated again. Like you always do, Maria." And Maria kind of looks at him, and she just kind of grinds her teeth like she was going to say something and then just doesn't. And she holds out her hand and shakes each of your hands. She introduces herself. "My name is Dr. Maria Corswain. I am a scholar and physician here aboard Insight 3, specializing in biomedical science, and those are the nature of the tests that I'll be doing." She says, please come with me. We've actually set up a small welcoming party for you."
Okay, nice.
So she takes you, and so, you know, I got new glasses and I can't see anything. I mean, that's probably not.
On
So
the
here's
right side.
here's a better picture of Insight 3,
Nice.
and
So it propels itself, right?
Correct. So
It's
here,
not like the pinnace is in the middle pushing it along. It
no. So
propels itself. It's just that's where
These-
it docks.
These two square pieces here on either side
Yeah.
are actually the engineering and drive bays.
Okay.
There it is. And so here is a example of the floor plan. And so if you take each of these sections and connect them, it makes a ring.
So Maria brings you into the I guess common area, and I guess cafeteria is a little bit of a
Yeah, commissary.
exaggeration, but yeah, there's a galley.
Yeah.
And come to find out, the engineer Price also is the ship's chef. And he comes around, and he's wearing an apron, and he comes around. And his face is a little bit greasy from working in engineering still, but he's got this tray of food. And it all looks and tastes wonderful, and he keeps asking them, "What do you think about this particular one? And what do you think about this?" And he's going around, fussing over his cooking. You notice that around this, there's a central table. All of the scientists seem to be keeping their distance, more or less, in one corner.
From us or each other or
From
everybody?
each other.
Oh.
So in one corner, there is a balding gentleman. And Maria points out and she says, "This is Dr. Ronaldo Corswain Tyler. He's my ex-husband." And Ronaldo says, "Oh, I am a scholar and scientist of basically the material sciences." And next to him is this gentleman who introduces himself as Henderson Varnix, and he says, "I am the field researcher." And he and Ronaldo seem to kind of, I guess, get along, at least casually. Alfred and Henderson seem to have a rather crass back and forth where they insult each other's work, and usually they get along. And this is Price, the ship's engineer and chef. No last name, just Price. And he is, Maria says, "The poor boy, he grew up on a planet where they didn't have names at all. They were just given numbers." And Price is like, "I told you, Maria, that where I come from, that's not something to feel bad about. That's just completely normal." And she says, "Well, he's gone around the ship and put tags on a number of things. We like to call them price tags." And he says, "Well, it's better to label them than not be able to find them, because you people do science and leave it all over the place." "Oh, Price, you're just so boring sometimes." And
I don't like any of these people.
these people all suck. And so everybody eats, and Ronaldo says, "Well, Maria, what's our itinerary?" She says, "Well, our new pilot, if she were to repark our orbit on the far side of Marduk, opposite the high port, we could go ahead and go down and get soil samples. I would like to do some marine samples." And Ronaldo goes, "Oh, wonderful, you're going to get more seaweed." It's like, "Ronaldo, it's none of your business."
Yeah, we're gonna get seaweed. Deal with it. I'll walk out the airlock. Okay.
And Price immediately says, "Well, let me show you around the ship, and we'll end with taking you to the bridge, and you can get a feel for it."
Okay.
And everybody make a recon plus intellect check. And Keith, you can make that with a boon dice. So
Oh, okay.
roll 3, take the 2 highest.
11 seems.
10.
7.
Okay. So
Raf and Keith, you notice. So the thing about a lab ship is that it doesn't have grav plating in the decks, unlike ships that you're used to being on. And the reason for that is that grav plating can interrupt some of the experiments that are going on, but it has the ability that it can spin and simulate gravity that way. Which,
Like
It-
space audit.
yeah, exactly. And it,
Advance, spin the drum.
yeah, it's basically whenever you're not in jump space, it's going to be doing that. You two are kind of like, it feels like a bicycle wheel where one of the spokes isn't screwed down right, and it's doing this.
Mm.
Yeah, and you get a little bit queasy. You're standing on this deck, and you're like,
Something's not right.
And Price says, "Oh, you guys feel that?" So, our last pinnace, Alfred had a great idea of how we could transfer some cargo and make a little bit of extra money to keep the ship going, and he ran the pinnace into Insight 3, doing a favorable amount of damage, unscheduled modifications as you were, and now every time we do the spin for gravity, there's a little bit of a wobble there.
Nice.
What does that mean?
He says
I'm
that
doing it too
as,
many intellectuals all around. Can't do anything right.
right, and as he's leading you, he kind of looks over his shoulder and goes, "That's also why we're in the Trojan Reach. We were asked to leave the spinward marches." You guys see just area after area after area. It is a pigsty. There is stuff scattered everywhere.
Kind of Marie Kondoit.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But when you go through engineering, it's almost completely spick and span, spotless. Things are orderly. And Price tells you, yeah, you'll notice I don't allow them to do science here in the engineering department. They can science anywhere else they want. And so he brings you up to the bridge of Insight 3, and he says, there you are. You can go ahead and do your flight tests. And so, Ching Shihh, go ahead and make a pilot plus dexterity check. It'll be average.
5, 8, 9.
Okay. So you sit in the seat and you're kind of fiddling around. So the first thing that you realize that a lab ship does not fly like ships that you're used to.
Okay.
It takes a little bit of time to do anything. It's just not a high performance vehicle. But after a while, you kind of get used to it and you're able to get it under control, and you set course for the other side of Marduk. And you, as you are approaching the other side of Marduk, you are actually getting further away from the high port. You receive an automated message from the high port warning you that you are leaving the the protective zone of the high port, and that you may be that if something happens, they're not going to be able to help you. But this is an automated message you're fully aware of. You've heard these before.
Sure. So is there any weaponry on the outside of the lab in case it comes to that?
That's a very good question. I don't think there is, but I might be wrong. No, it is completely unarmed.
Awesome.
In the Trojan Reach, a completely unarmed vessel.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, you guys are like.
We're making a note for that for later.
Yeah, make a note of
How
this.
much do
Sitting ducks.
microscopes sell for?
Maybe they'll find something juicy down in the in those ruins.
Yeah.
So make another pilot plus dex check.
9, 12, 13.
Jesus. Okay. See, I told you. You didn't roll very well yesterday, and today.
No, well,
you know.
it helps that pilot is +3.
Yeah. Well, right. So she takes Insight 3 into a parking orbit, spins it, but not too fast so you don't throw up, and it's like being on the gyroscope. And it's in a geostationary parking orbit, and you are all invited to go down in the pinnace, in the Chubb,
Nice.
down to the surface.
And that's with Maria.
Yeah,
captain of the
that will
Chubb.
be with Alfred, Maria, Ronaldo, Henderson, and Lynn Morgan will be piloting the Chubb.
You want to grab that bottle of Kilbeggins right behind you? No. And grab some shot glasses. Would you like some, Carrie? And would you like some, Devin?
Yeah, I'll take some.
Okay.
Well,
Grab
a
me-
big
grab me
weenie,
one.
and I'm sure that'll be the obligatory after, but that's okay.
No, you might
Yeah.
be surprised. Kilbeggins is pretty good stuff.
I'm just setting the class bar real low. There are certain times where I am 100% a country mouse.
Yeah, me too.
Pass that one down.
Thank you.
One for you.
Thank you.
Would you like some? Kilbeggins?
Oh, no thank you. I don't drink liquor anymore.
Okay. I know you've told me that before, but I always ask.
Yeah. I have a cocktail every now and then, but it's been a solid 3 years since I had a shot.
Well, I don't shoot them.
Or, you know, just to sip on any
Right.
kind of just liquor by itself. I enjoy a margarita from time to time.
Right.
I know.
I've just had tea, many martinis in my life, and I've drank gallons
Oh,
of
I love
fucking
martinis.
gin and olive juice.
So so like I said, I don't shoot them. I sip them, which is why I can sit there and sip them all day,
Oh, yeah, that's
and
actually nice.
so I'm pretty okay.
Yeah.
That has also trained my body, and so when I went and had the oral surgery, 3 halcyon tablets, and then I felt like maybe I took like a 10 milligram value. It was not
Oh.
what it was supposed to.
I miss Valium.
Then they gassed me with the nitrous. The nurse cranked it all the way up, and she couldn't go any higher, and it wasn't doing anything. So the doctor came in and had to put in his code, and he cranked it up. 65% nitrous and 35% O2, and that's when I started to feel it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I wasn't even breathing atmosphere anymore.
Yeah.
And then he goes and he numbs me up, and I told him ahead of time that I'm resistant to Novocaine. And so he gives me the Novocaine shot, and then he pulls out this other stuff, and he goes, now this is the heavy hitting stuff. Your face is going to be numb for like 9 to 10 hours. I'm like, all right, that's fine. I just don't want to feel it.
Right.
So
absolutely.
he shoots me up, they do the work, I come home. Sit down in the chair, and I watch TV for a little bit, and I remember Dr. Phil came on. I wasn't going to change his channel. I'm just like, I'm going to take a nap. So I fall asleep really hard. I thought, when I woke up, I thought, oh God, it's got to be like 10 o'clock at night.
Sure.
It wasn't. I'd only been asleep for 40 minutes. Dr. Phil was still on.
Oh no.
And I was stone sober. I could
Oh,
feel
no.
every piece of my face.
Oh.
Yeah. I was like, 9 to 10 hours, my ass.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my story. God, I hope I never have to have any major surgery. That
Yeah.
God. So you guys, the Chubb drops you guys off, and basically she unloads all the cargo, and the Chubb has to make 2 trips. It has to go back up to get things like tents and whatnot, and electric dirt bikes. And there are 4 electric dirt bikes.
that can be used to travel around the camp and things like that. You guys
This
are.
thing I can ride, pilot, drive, and fly pretty much anything.
Anything.
I got all of it.
Nice. I put everything into just piloting spacecraft.
I'm not an expert in any of it, but I can drive
You
anything.
can do it. You can make it all
Including
go.
submarines.
Yeah, right. So, you have been down on Marduk before. You have experienced not only both on the mainland continents, but you have experience on some of the island chains. Did all of that. In listening to so where they sat down on a mainland continent on the coastline, and probably a 30-minute walk or a 10-minute ride on the electric dirt bikes, there are the ruins of a city. You are already perfectly aware that Marduk got kind of fuckered at the end of the Sindalian Empire. They just took a beating. In the conversations over the course of 3 days, the conversations that you're hearing among the scientists are that they are insisting that there are no humanoid life on the main continents, but they are saying that it's really weird because we went around, we scouted through the ruins in the city, and we find areas where it looks like there are campfires that have been made that weren't here long ago. They were, maybe in the last week. Now you guys know, you've run into natives that were living on the
They're
mainland.
like the indigenous. They help save us.
Now, it is entirely up to you whether or not you want
So
to.
is this before or after the sea monster?
After.
After the sea monster.
So it's entirely up to you guys if you want to inform these scientists about any of this.
What do you think, guys? Do we tell them, or we let them be surprised?
They'll find out one way or the other. I
Do we
think.
not want to take their moment of scientific discovery?
Let them do the science. Go science it out.
Well, since we sort of have almost an alliance with the native
Right.
folks on the mainland, I almost think not to say anything because it seems to me that it's their decision whether or not they want to make their presence known.
On the other half,
Ooh.
on the other hand, Raf was severely traumatized by being backed around and whatnot by a sea monsters.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
she'd be all like, "Fuck that! I ain't going down there for seaweed. You kidding me? No,
Yeah,
not
and
dipping
so-
another toe
Yeah,
in the water
keeps,
here."
Mary keeps asking Raf to wade out into the water and reach down and pull up some of the
Fuck
seaweed.
No,
You do it, I'll cover you.
you're squarely contrary. Fair enough.
I'm here for protection. I probably wouldn't handle it right anyways. It
I
needs your
know.
delicate touch. You go get the seed.
I was there too, so I'm like,
Yeah.
not so sure I want to go in there.
So
And I'll tell them exactly why.
okay, and so Maria says, "Well, but that would be out in the island chains. I don't think anything like that would be this close to the main continent." She goes, "And I read that. I think I read something in the news about that. That I honestly, when I read it in the news, I didn't know if I believed that particular scientist or not. But if you have a first-hand account." She goes, "I'd be very interested in interviewing you and getting information on that."
Yes,
Uh,
from a ship.
Yeah, on the ship,
sky.
yeah.
Not on the ocean.
And you guys over here that Alfred and Henderson are talking about these campfires, and they're throwing out theories. Well, maybe the Augmen Raiders, when they shot down the shuttle, maybe they came down, landed, and camped for a few days.
Right. Yeah, I feel like if anything, we should, let the native folk make themselves known if they want, and maybe even obviously there wouldn't be agreed upon code or anything like that, but somehow if we could let the native folks know that were there.
We don't want
With
to
people.
endanger any of the locals.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like almost warning, you know, it's like don't take the blankets.
Don't take.
If
Yeah.
we can swim.
Don't take the blankets. We actually like you. This other
Yeah.
tribe over here, they can have all. So Ronaldo comes down to the beach where Maria's constantly trying to chide Raf into going into the water for her, and Ronaldo says, "Maria, she's not going to do it." And Maria's like, "Ronaldo, shut up! You know, she needs to do the work." And Ronaldo says, "That's okay. I have some work for her. Please, Raquel, will you please come with me? I would like somebody to go with me into the city so that I can take a look around these ruins."
Damn straight. Farther from the water, the better for me.
And anybody else that wants to come is perfectly welcome as well. I'm sure that the rest of our camp will be safe down here. And you see Maria like hiking up her pant legs. And, fine, I'll go into the water and get the seaweed myself.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. Well, I think especially since it's just the 3 of us, we should probably all go together. In my humble opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
We already put them through so much splitting the party
Yeah,
before.
like that's a
There's only 3 of us. If we manage to
Wednesday
stay
that's rough
together.
enough. Let's stay together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 18 different locations.
Hold on. Alfred is going around making a big to-do about collecting rock samples, cores from the ground and the seabed, mapping flights from the pinnace, and getting all manner of physical data. All 3 of you make an intellect check. If you have a science skill, you can add science to it.
So if I don't have science, do I have to subtract?
No, just make an intellect check.
I have science robotics.
That works. So you can add that.
Alright.
11.
5.
Wow. So you realize that Alfred is moving about and wanting to collect all these rock samples and seabed core samples and all this other shit, and he has no flow chart as to what he's doing or why. And it seems like Maria and Ronaldo have theories, and they're trying to use the scientific method to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
Ronaldo is throwing shit at the wall and hoping that something
Wait,
sticks.
Alfred's throwing shit.
Yeah,
at the
he's-
wall.
Wolf guy.
Yeah, Vargar guy is throwing shit at the wall hoping something sticks and that he's going to make some grand scientific discovery, but really has no idea what he's looking for, why he's here.
Right.
But he's making this big to-do about wanting to get all these samples. It seems like you're the only one that really kind of is like, what's this guy doing? Now, the other scientists may know that too, but one of the things that you've learned is that everybody owns a share of Insight 3. And they don't make any bones about who owns more or who owns less, but they pretty much just leave each other to do whatever it is that they're going to do, and then make fun of them behind their backs and sometimes to their face about how they didn't get any results.
So petty.
Yes.
Sounds like grad school.
Yeah, it's a lot like grad school, yes. Yeah. Oh, man. So, you guys hop on these little electric bikes that look like that. Nobody's going to look cool riding these things. And they are completely electric, which is beneficial in that they can be recharged and are cheap on fuel. The downside that you realize, so have you ever seen those little 50cc trail bikes? That's basically what these things are like, and you realize it's not too bad right now, but if you were on a planet with say, a tainted atmosphere or vacuum, God forbid, and you had to wear a vac suit, these things would be awkward to ride. Like, just, it would be, you know, like the fat bearded lady riding the tricycle at the circus. But they pretty much do their job for what you need them to do now. Now, Insight 3 also has a sealed air raft, but it's kind of located in a stupid place. So, the benefit of a sealed air raft, of course, is that being an air raft, it can actually fly from low orbit back down to the surface. So, Insight 3 has to get a really close parking orbit to release this thing. To get it to the pinnace, they have to clear all the junk out of the halls and maneuver it down a hallway with basically an inch on each side and maneuver it into the cargo section to load it into the pinnace. It's an idiotic setup.
Right.
Which is why they're using the dirt bikes rather than the covered air raft. But it's there if anybody should decide that they want to use it. So you guys ride these dirt bikes up into the city ruins, and the city is a fairly depressing place. So
when you say city, you mean the ruins.
right.
It's not like.
No, it's not a
What's
vibrant
the-
city at all.
no.
It has been
Perhaps.
like you see steel girders sticking out of the dirt. You see part of what looks like used to be a skyscraper that has been almost completely overgrown with vegetation. And if you remember the first time when you found one of these buildings, at first when you found it, you thought it was a cave. And then when you got
Right.
inside, you realized, oh, this is actually a building because you can see the steel girders and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's a fairly depressing place, a little bit eerie. You're standing in the skeleton of a building one moment picking fruit from a nearby bush, and then there's a strange presence about the place, as if it's not in fact uninhabited. Like you see little signs that people have been here. Ronaldo, you guys have parked your bikes, you're kind of standing around. Ronaldo goes into the skeletal remains of a building that's overgrown with brush. And shortly afterwards, you hear him scream, and he comes running back out. Oh my God, it's going to get me! And behind him is a Garen Aimbrae.
No, nice.
So,
They're back.
yeah, hooray! Hey, you guys know how to fight these.
Remind me again how initiative works.
So, initiative, you roll, hold on here, roll 2d6 plus either your dex modifier or your intellect modifier. And it's basically just a regular average check, so you're trying to get 8 or better.
And the difference.
The
like,
difference
If you got
is
8, it would be an initiative of
0, right.
Yeah.
And then up or down from it. Honestly, I find it a strange way of doing it, but it works, so.
Alright. Got 8 even then.
-1.
Okay.
3.
Ooh, well done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Plus 3?
Initiative of 3, yeah.
Wow, okay. Your dex must be outrageous.
No,
Or your
it
intellect.
rolled really well.
Wow, that's cool. Ching Shihh, what'd you get?
-1.
Okay.
Hang back.
Oh, well, that's weird. Huh. Well, you know what? Sorry, I just had something that just blew my mind. So evidently that initiative program that I use does not allow negatives. So I'll just do it this way. Oops. Okay, so animate. Okay, so you see this mangy wolf-like creature come running after Dr. Ronaldo. Keith, what would you like to do?
Let's see how. I think I will use my machine gun against it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely short range. I mean, you're talking about 12 meters from you to where the doctor is. So I mean, it's not very far away.
So yeah, machine gun is the choice I would use. All right. Let's see, 8, 9. Do I add a modifier to that?
So it'd be gun combat plus your dex modifier.
Okay. So I got 9.
All right. So that is a +1 to damage.
Okay. And it is 3d6. So I got 12. Or sorry, no. Yeah, that's 12.
Okay. Yikes. So you pepper its haunch pretty good, and it completely bones its attack. It attempts to take a swipe at Ronaldo's butt, and then turns and darts 12 meters away into a brush. Raf, what would you like to do?
Darts away in the brush.
Now, if you remember, these things are smart in that they will attempt to, one will come out and attempt to ambush and then try to lure you into an attack by the rest of the pack. And of course, this one's now wounded and pissed. I recommend fire and lots of it.
I'll draw my laser pistol and shoot into the bushes after it.
Okay,
Where
go
it was
ahead.
ran in.
Go ahead. This will be a difficult shot. So it's 10 plus. Gun combat plus your dex.
Nine.
That is a hit, and +1 to damage.
3D plus 4. So 12.
Another 12? Wow, okay. You hear like a whining dog whine come from the bush, and you can hear you can smell singed fur. Ching Shihh, what would you like to do?
I'm going to get the scientist behind me,
Okay.
and I feel like, is readying an action a thing? Or like, because I feel like any minute,
Aiming something.
yeah,
But
but
you
I
gotta
don't
have
really
something
know
to aim
where.
at.
I
So
should
yeah,
aim
you could,
for.
if you went with the 3 minor actions thing, you could say you're gonna run
'Cause
12 meters to the doctor
Right.
and get him behind you.
Yeah, in my mind, like he's running out of the building, being chased by the wolf, who then heads for the bushes and promptly expires, or nearly expires.
Yeah.
And I feel
So I'm
like
doing one.
you know, down the alley or out of the building are going to be his buddies.
Right. So you could take a minor action, 2 minor actions to get to the doctor,
Yeah. Get him behind me.
get in behind you, and then as your last minor action, you could aim with your weapon
Yeah.
and kind of be ready. So that'll give you a +1 to your attack.
So yeah, I would say I'd aim ahead of me, because I mean, if the wolves are behind us, then I'm fucked. But
Right.
I'm aiming in the direction that the wolf came from, as though his buddies were behind him,
Okay.
and will come from the same direction.
Okay. So Keith, you can hear that the Garrett Aimbright whining from the bush, and you can see the bush kind of move every once in a while. What would you like to
Confirm the kill. Double tap.
do? Light it up.
Don't light it up.
Kill that bush.
Firebolt.
I can either
Call
do that,
Pinnace and tell him to nuke it from
Or
orbit.
I
It's the
can-
only way to be sure.
Yeah. or I can try to find the other Garrett Aimbrights that are showing up soon. I think I will. I'll just make sure that thing's dead.
Okay. So yeah, you can't see the Garrett Aimbright itself, but you can see the bush. So it'll be a 10+ difficult hit. So it'll be gun combat plus dex. Unless you wanted to move up to the bush and do it at point blank range, although that could be
It
problematic.
seems
Dangerous.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so 9 to hit.
So that's just a miss. But clearly you have startled it and it takes off. You see it bolt out of the bush and take off running. At that time, around the back of the building, as you guys thought, 2 more are coming out.
Okay.
Raf. So you could see 2 more coming out from around the building. What would you like to do? And the one that you see bolt out, you can see that it's leaving a blood trail, and you can see that part of its side is like burned all the way through. So it's probably gonna go crawl off somewhere and die.
And I see 2 more.
So there's 2 more that have come out now.
Use one of my miniature actions to aim,
Okay,
and then my major action to fire.
go for it.
Alright.
Dex plus gun combat
What does the aiming do again?
gives you a +1.
To hit?
Yep.
Okay. Six.
That is a miss. Yep, that is a miss.
Blue.
Ching, what would you like to do? You have a +1 to
And I
your
was gonna
attack.
say, now that I'm aimed and
You can take your second minor action to aim more, and I'll give you a
now that I
+2 to your
have
attack.
now that I have an actual target
Right, and I'll give you a
Just being-
+2.
pointed in the general
Yeah,
direction
but
that
yeah,
they're coming
I'm
from.
gonna kill this building.
Fair enough. I think I'll do that. So it's +2.
Yep.
That's 9, 10, 11. Dex makes it 12. +2 is 14. Did I hit them both at the same time?
That's a critical hit.
Nice.
+6 to damage.
Okay.
Go ahead and roll your damage, and
Okay, and that was with my Gauss pistol.
okay. Sorry,
That
Gauss.
one's
Gauss pistols are just so.
Because that's at like 20
Violently
meters.
cool.
Yeah, I feel like.
Well,
I don't
they're
know,
also
maybe I'd be
full
carrying
auto.
The combat rifle, but
So imagine Malcolm Reynolds' pistol from Firefly, where you flip a switch and now it's full. It goes full rock and roll.
nice.
like just empties the mag. That's a scary gun.
Yeah.
You had me at Malcolm Reynolds. Okay, so it's 3D. That's 10. Plus 6 is 16. And yeah, it's what's AP3? What does that mean?
That means it ignores 3 points of armor.
Okay.
But
That's
your
fine.
name rates don't have any. But now this one doesn't have a head.
Excellent.
So because that was an exceptional success, you pop its head right off.
Sweet.
Keith, we're back to you.
Shoot at the other one.
Okay.
I will aim first, since I
+1.
have a chance to do so. And I got
Now, with your machine gun, you could set it for burst, which
Oh.
would mean that if you hit, that you would add the auto score to the damage as well, if you wanted to do that.
that makes sense. I would do that. So I got 9 to hit.
That is a +1 to damage, plus whatever your auto score is.
Okay.
How do you know what your auto score is?
So under the weapon, under traits, it should say, I believe the Gauss was auto 2.
Yeah, this machine gun I
AP3 auto
think is
2.
auto
I'm
3,
looking
but
at
I
weapon.
don't remember. I didn't write down how much in my
Yeah,
machine gun
that's.
was.
I think that's. Yeah, I only wrote.
So,
I wrote-
what kind of machine gun is it?
It was the machine gun that I got from
The
Sindalian.
Oh, the right.
When
That
we were raiding their.
that one.
Things are getting serious.
Yes. Thinking I need a body pistol.
It was when I got the officer's sword.
Yeah, let's see here. Civilian Empire, breaching unit. Here we go. Carrier, ship's locker. So that one was the boarding gun, I believe.
No, this was a machine gun that I picked up as well.
Was it the advanced
Not the
combat
advanced
rifle?
combat rifle. Maybe it is the breaching gun actually. No,
Or the boarding gun?
boarding gun.
So boarding gun, it has 2 types of damage. One, it has an underslung dart launcher.
Yes, that's the one.
Okay, so it is auto 5.
Auto 5. Nice.
That I feel sorry for this Wolfie.
Okay. So
I forget the
What
name of
is
the
the
gun,
auto
but
name?
this is the boarding gun.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a submachine gun version of, and there's a World War I machine gun that they used that had that cylindrical.
top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
nice.
This thing's basically a submachine gun sized version of that.
Okay, so
Or you hit it with the
Sorry.
dart and watch this dog just go. "Huh."
I know. That's a lot of guns for a wild dog. A lot of
I'll
guns.
keep it around for protection.
got a
What does the
3d6
auto
and
stat
auto
mean?
5.
So auto stat means that on auto, so if you set it for burst, you got single shot, or you can set it for burst. And when you set it for burst, you can add the auto score to the damage. If you want, you can go full auto. And so, like in his case, 5. He can pick 5 targets that are adjacent to each other, within 6 meters of each other, and rake them.
Nice.
Say hello, my little friend.
I know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I rolled 12, so yeah, 17, 18 to hit. Or, 18 damage. Yeah, 18 damage.
Yeah.
Okay. What'd you get to hit?
It was
A 9?
It was 9. Yeah.
Okay. So 18 damage. Holy crap.
That dog's liquefied.
No, but it is hating life.
It's very upset.
Yeah, in fact, it changes direction and runs away.
Nice.
The Ronaldo,
Don't go
Oh.
poking around random buildings.
thank heavens you were here. He's like, but did you see that? Those canines clearly have created tactics to work as a team specifically to hunt humanoids.
Yeah. We're familiar.
That must mean that there are people living on the main continent. This is going to break open my entire research study. And he's all kinds of excited.
Okay.
And you guys get back on your bikes and head back to the camp. And you're there for another 2 days before they decide, yeah, all right, we're done. We're going to pack up and head back to Insight. And actually, this works pretty good. I knew I had that pen for a reason. We're going to head back to Insight, and we're going to write papers. And you can see that Alfred, as you guys are packing up and loading up Chubb, Alfred is just pissed off, in a shitty mood. His research on the planet, he got nothing.
For some reason, as you describe him, all I can think of is Neil deGrasse Tyson. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like
sometimes.
The vest and the like dumbing down astrophysics, but
Right.
maybe a little bit more impressed with his own intelligence.
With his own intelligence, and right,
You
yeah.
know, like you're charismatic and average in your fields. That's
Right.
not really.
Yeah,
is
well,
at the top of your field.
so the feeling that you all three would get after talking with like Ronaldo and Maria, and to some extent even Henderson, who's just a field researcher, you don't even really feel that Alfred is average in his field. He got lucky and wrote this book, and it came out pretty good.
Right.
And he was propelled to this position with no real credentials.
There's someone else. There's another scientist that's on the tip of my tongue. Similar, who like I think he's the one that did like videos on string theory.
Oh, right. I think I know who you're
It's
talking
made fun
about.
of on Big Bang Theory all
Right,
the time
right.
because he did like
I know who you're talking about.
he
Mhm.
like simplified everything too far and
He was
so
the science
for the
advisor
masses.
for the
for the masses.
president.
Right, yeah, he was a science advisor for the president. It
But
was
you know,
like,
you know who I'm
it
talking
was,
about?
it was Clinton, wasn't it?
I
It wasn't Obama. I think it was Clinton.
think so. I don't
Yeah,
know.
he was somebody important.
But he like did Nova specials.
Yeah,
Right.
So it was
yeah.
real lowest common denominator explaining physics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's
So
that's what I think
sidebar,
of.
string theory.
Oh, I'm okay.
I don't-
We have to.
I don't not believe it.
Don't. Not. Okay.
I don't not believe it.
Right.
I think that there are some facets of string theory that make a lot of sense. But the things that string theory is being used to do is basically whenever there is some astrophysics or theoretical physics problem that they can't answer,
Yeah, that can.
they're trying to throw in string theory because it will basically answer everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like dark matter too.
But-
Right, dark matter's another one.
Like where it's like, oh, these giant voids that don't behave like voids. There
Oh,
must be
there must be dark
that
matter
we
and
can't
dark
see.
energy. Yeah, right.
We can't prove anything, and
Like, we
it
came up
doesn't
with the-
predict anything.
Yeah, we came up with the equation that
Right.
explains the void, but we don't actually know what it is. We just
Right,
have
they're
the fact
not.
that
They're more
explains
like,
it.
as far as I'm concerned, they're like placeholders until real science figures something out.
Sure.
But
Which I mean that's.
that's fine
It's like the map saying there be monsters. Like that explained it until
until they
science filled in
discover
the
right.
blanks, you know.
But I mean, I like string theory. It's just like I said, there's a lot there that is worth looking at, and I think that a lot of it is, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
Especially when you start talking about black holes or wormholes, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
But then they come up with something with the Hadron Super Collider, and they're like, well, we can't explain this, so I guess string theory must be playing it. What?
Yeah.
Like, you don't even understand string theory.
Right. It's, we'll tell you when you're older.
Right, yeah, exactly, yeah. And we'll have this conversation when you're older. Yeah, exactly.
We'll tell you when you're ready.
So, you guys load up Chubb and head back up to...
I have to rename that. Shit. Sorry.
Well,
the jabroni is
the-
one thing,
the-
but chub.
The first thing when I read that, it's because of the name of the class of the ship. It's a pinnace.
I don't relationship.
Penis.
Oh,
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Chub.
I didn't know that's why it was like because Pinace is like Pinnace.
Right.
So I didn't put all of that. If you
Yeah.
spelled it differently, I'd
Right.
see it. But
Yeah. Penace, chub. When I first read it, I lost it because I
you're
have.
like, wow.
Yeah, I have the maturity level of a 5-year-old.
You're like, these nerds.
Right. So you guys load back up and get back. You know, these two are unloading Chubb, and you make your way to the bridge. Actually, I guess you're not going to be helping unload because you're going to be needed for J Drive. So who's making the astrogation to board it?
Probably me.
Okay.
Unless someone else wants to. I have +2 for astrogation.
I'm -3, so I'm not.
I'm not the one to ask for that.
Okay.
If you want to end up possibly somewhere else, I'm your guy.
That's right.
Wait, how do you end up with a minus?
I don't have any astrogation.
Oh.
So he's
that's why.
-3 for
Because it's
unskilled.
0. Okay, I thought you meant like you'd written in -3. I was like,
No.
how is that? I know negative. I don't believe in it. That's being anti-astrogation. I just like pounded
It's
the key.
string theory. I don't believe in it.
Astrogation is dumb. Being anti. Okay, so I'm gonna do astrogation plus intellect. No,
Sure.
plus or is it education?
Your choice.
I'll choose intellect then. Okay. 10, 12, 14.
Okay. So yeah. So you can make a J Drive check,
Okay.
which is routine 6+, and you are at 6 + 6.
9.
Okay. So Insight 3, the jump bubble forms, and you are in space or jump space for the next week. Alfred's mood does not improve the entire week. Like, he is holding on to this grudge.
Right.
About-
with a hypothesis, buddy.
What are our lodgings like?
Small.
And
So
probably beds.
you are given.
Are we sharing? Are we bunking together? We each
You
get
can.
individual little.
You can.
pods, or-
There is enough lodging on Insight. So Insight 3, lab ship usually has a crew anywhere from 6 to 12. So there is more than enough space. Now,
Imagine Raf will find a room, kick some fucking boxes out of the
Right.
way.
Right,
Yeah.
build like
Jesus
a nest.
Christ!
there are a
Stuff.
series of cabins that are located near the bridge where most of the crew stays. However, Ronaldo, being in an uppity roar at one point, decided to move out of his room and go to the other end where the quarters are near the laboratories, and has decided not to move back since. Maria has since taken to, every time she goes around the ship and finds that Ronaldo has left something where he shouldn't have, she takes it, goes to his original quarters, opens it up, and throws it in there. And so there's just, his original quarters near the bridge is just a mess, a catch-all of everything that he owns.
Can I use my admin skills to like coordinate a cleanup?
No, it wouldn't be admin, it would be steward.
I don't have.
Steward.
I don't think I have leadership. I like.
You
can
guys
I
haven't met Teddy yet.
administrate- I know, that's the thing.
I have leadership 1.
I think I have leadership either 1 or 0. Make them do it themselves. 0 and 0.
The other thing in this week that you're in jump space, Ronaldo frequently gets into arguments with Maria. So, like I just said, she'll pick up his stuff and throw it into his old cabin.
Sure.
The other thing that she'll do, he'll set something down, knowing that he'll come back to it in a little bit, and she'll take it and throw it into the cabin anyways. And so he has all of these
Sure.
unfinished experiments because he doesn't know where any of his notes went or where his laptop computer went.
Well, if you didn't leave your shit around,
Just,
then
yeah,
you didn't know where it
everywhere.
was.
Right, right. You come out of jump space at void. And
Nice.
So now, in our main campaign, you haven't been to the main world of Borite. You've been to the gas giant, which is way out at the edge of the system. It's like at thrust 2, it takes like a week to get from this gas giant to the main.
Okay.
So Insight 3 comes in about half that distance because it's 100 diameters of Borite to where you would come out of jump space. And the thing about, you get a rate, well, Borite is controlled by what is known as the BCA, the Borite Continuity Authority. This is a holdover from the corporation that ran Borite 2,000 years ago under the Sindalian Empire.
Prior to its demise.
Right.
Because as I remember, Borite's even in worse shape than Marduk.
Well, yeah, there's like basically nothing on Borite,
Right, like
even back
Marduk
then.
Was like, Marduk was like limping along, and Borite was more like, well, maybe we'll develop it when we get the chance, and then
Right.
Empire collapsed.
And so Maria has you put in orbit to Borite, so go ahead and make a piloting check.
And at some point during the week of travel, Raf gets caught digging through medical supplies looking for something to cure the itch she got back on the last colony she visited.
Make a
Looking for some penicillin.
Yeah, you know.
make
Doc,
an make an
bioscience, right? This is, give me something.
make an
In here?
investigation plus intellect check.
Just for the sake of roleplay.
Yeah.
10 for the pilot.
You said investigate plus intellect.
Uh-huh.
11, 12, 13.
So
You're
yeah,
highly
you're
motivated.
yeah, you're able
It's
to
gotten kind of
That
burny.
anti-fungal cream.
Gotten a little burny.
so you were able to find some antibiotics and antifungal spray in the in a loose field medical kit that is not anywhere near the laboratories or their makeshift med bay. It's like in a ship's locker outside of engineering.
They probably won't miss this. I'm just gonna take the whole thing with me.
All right, so you have picked up
How about that?
you have picked up a med kit.
Sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, just
That
throw
could be
shit
handy.
laying around.
Yeah, they're so disorganized that they wouldn't
They're
notice
never
it
going
anyways.
to even notice.
And if they're stocked for 12 but only at 6, then you're also not like
I'm
leaving
sure this
them
thing is
short.
nowhere on the manifest. All right, no one's.
If it
Oh,
is, the
God.
manifest probably looks even worse. Than,
Yeah.
yeah.
Crossed out.
So redacted. It's
Yeah.
a big
It's
black
like, no,
line.
we're out of that. No, we got this. We got
So you put it into a parking orbit. Standard procedure would be to radio Port Authority because they're getting ready to load up the pinnace
Right.
to head down to the planet. Are you going to radio the Port Authority, or are you just going to allow them to show up?
What do you guys think? I feel like we don't, since we're on a legit job, it doesn't seem like there's a reason to break protocol yet. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And so
since this is a legit contract, not alerting the authority seems
Sketchy.
unnecessary.
Right.
Like an unnecessary risk. I mean, if we were, trying to rob the lab of all the things we know are worthwhile for our own benefit, then maybe be sneaky. But you know what I mean?
That might
You guys
not
It's
be
just
just like I was looking for a med kit. I needed a med kit. Everything's a fucking mess around here.
right. But I
This
mean,
is
like,
hardly stealing.
we're not. This isn't on our pirating contract. We're not trying to. So I would say just yes. I'm going to contact Port Authority.
Okay. So you
They're
are.
We're there on science, fact finding.
You're legit.
As you're coming in, you radio them probably about 20 hours out from orbit, and after a minute or two, you are greeted back with a distorted, static racked channel from the BCA. and you could barely make out through the white noise in this crackly communication that you are invited to land at the Borite PCA Port Authority.
Okay.
And you could barely make it out, and he says something about feel free to land at pad 1.
Okay.
So you guys load up. You put it into a parking orbit, and you load up into the Chubb, and it comes down to the planet, and you're sitting in the co-pilot seat.
Right, the Chubb wouldn't want to go to any of the landing docks
Well,
at the Port Authority because they're trying to do science.
Alfred is insisting that we land at the port first because I absolutely must have some real food.
Okay.
As you're
Astro
so
Burger it is.
well, so you guys look out the windows as she puts it into the parking orbit, and Borite is a yellowish green brown stain of a world. I mean, it is probably one of the most unappealing planets you've ever seen. I mean, Marduk looks, from orbit, Marduk looks luxurious. Marduk pretty much looks like Earth from orbit. This looks... We don't have anything in our solar system that looks like... This looks like a ball of baby vomit.
No.
If you had fed your baby Indian food.
Nice.
Okay, so yeah, there's probably not an Astro Burger at their port. It's gonna be like,
Well, it gets better as
it's
you
gonna
are
be like mystery meat.
as the pinnace is coming in
Boiling
through
mystery.
this disgusting atmosphere. You realize that you can see out the window. You can just make out through the greenish haze that passes for an atmosphere here. Very faint landing lights, but there's no docking pad. It's basically just a rocky plateau that they've swept off the top and put some portable beacons out. So this is essentially a Class E starport, which
Nice.
is, oh, there's a flat spot you can land about 50 yards that way, and
So it's like Tatooine.
no, actually the docking bays in Mos Eisley Spaceport and Tatooine are luxurious
Oh,
compared to this. Yeah.
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 Okay.
And as the pinnace sets down,
I have a
You-
question.
yeah,
What's the difference between a flak shell and a flak jacket?
a flak jacket is essentially what we would find now. Flak shell is a little bit heavier
Flak
duty.
shell on the armor list is what I'm looking for.
I think it's out of this book.
Oh, okay. That would make sense. It's not-
So a flak shell is basically more like a kind of like a vest. Well, no, it says a flak jacket. It's like a vest too. Oh, here's flak shell. Flak shell has shoulder pads.
Thank you.
As you are opening the door, you see walking from this small domed, fairly podunk town. You see a group of individuals. Some of them are wearing a very like a uniform. They're all wearing respirator. You're all wearing respirator masks because of the tainted atmosphere, but they're all wearing respirators. You see 4 guards that are wearing like the baggy pants tucked into leather boots, and they're all carrying submachine guns. And you see 3 individuals walking ahead of them dressed very smartly in like frog button shirts. And they come up and they all are like, "Oh, welcome to Borite. What can we do for you?" And Alfred says, "We absolutely must get some food. Where can we purchase fresh meat and fruit?"
As
And
a free action, I'd like to roll my eyes behind his back. Just like that.
the official doesn't seem to notice you rolling your eyes, but he's like, "Oh, well, I'm sure that we can find something to accommodate you, but please come this way. You go into the town and you realize that the BCA Port Authority on Borite has the tech level of about 1920s Earth. It is TL4. Everybody make a recon plus intellect check.
9.
8.
Okay.
Denise plus intellect.
Uh-huh.
9.
Okay. All of you notice there's a weird thing that stands out about this town. There are signs, but they're just pictures. You see no writing anywhere.
That is weird.
Gives off a handmaid's tale vibe.
And Alfred reaches into his pocket and pulls out his mobile comm. And they're like, they look at the mobile comm and they're like, oh. They have some higher tech, but they're like, you guys are highfalutin if you've got a cell phone. And he reaches down and he goes like this with the stylus and puts it back into the bottom and he hands it to the guy. And the guy looks at it, and they're all like, oh my God. And he goes, what? This is the food that I'm looking for. They're like, oh my God, put that away. Put it away.
I'm like afraid of writing.
Writing, so the one of the other gentlemen that looks at you and goes, are you not aware of the local customs?
No, sir.
Writing is illegal.
Oh my.
Now, the reason why writing is illegal on Borite is because Borite is a frequent subject of Augment Raiders. Augment Raiders, in addition to stealing whatever technology or food they can find not locked down, will kidnap technicians or engineers. So anybody who shows any kind of literacy or technical aptitude could be kidnapped. And so it doesn't matter how literate the populace actually is, nobody's going to prove it, because then they're hoping that nobody will take them. And so these guys are appalled at Alfred's attitude, and this is Alfred's.
Ooh, can he get kidnapped? Maybe like,
Possible.
hey Raiders! He can
This
help
is
you. Look how
Alfred's.
smart he is.
But actually, this is Alfred's face as he is.
Yeah, I say we sacrifice him to the Raiders.
So, you're treated to the best that Borite has to offer in terms of food, drink, and polite discourse, which isn't much. But Alfred would like to incorporate anybody here who has broker, if you have broker. Does anybody have broker?
I do.
You do?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Alfred.
It's 0, but I have it.
Alfred would like to bring Raf in to help him negotiate for fresh food to bring back up to Insight.
I feel like we should figure out how to have the campsite more fortified. Because if the raiders come to the planet looking for smarty pants and we bring down a scientific team, like we're basically
Yeah, we're
Yeah, you're.
No.
Hey, come get
asking
me.
them to- So I mean, maybe one of our shelters is camouflaged, and one of them we put all these quasi-intellectual assholes in with a big light-up sign that says "Brains here."
Big arrow.
Yeah.
Big
Take
neon
them.
arrow.
But I feel like I don't know if we should have more to our campsite than just tents. If there's a genuine risk against intellectuals.
Okay.
Since Greenwater.
So, so Raf, go ahead and make a broker check. It'll be average 8+.
And intellect.
Sure. Okay. So, the scientists, Maria and Ronaldo and Alfred, authorize 3,200 credits to be spent however you would like. Now, here is the downside of all this.
200.
So 3,200, 200 credits of it is going to go to fresh food. That's what you negotiated. Normally on Borite that would have cost like 600, but Borite, just looking around the town, you're like, these guys, beggars cannot be choosers. And they do not look like the wealthiest. The other downside is, whatever you buy has a maximum tech level of TL4.
4.
So you can go ahead and go through the central supply catalog and pick out whatever you want as far as supplies at TL4. Now you probably want to look at like survival equipment and things like that.
Yeah, I might need a minute to look at this.
Yeah, pass it around. I mean, I think TL4 is probably, I don't think I've ever had anybody purchase it at TL4. You might be shit out of luck is basically what the story is. You might end up with a couple more tents,
Right.
you know.
We set up the.
You know, a couple of antique pistols.
Set up a fake camp somewhere.
Some landmines.
With, we trapped the fake camp and then.
Yeah, they probably got shotguns, antique pistols, what are revolvers? They probably have some revolvers. No, revolver is too high of a tech level. They have like muzzle loader pistols, shotguns.
Musket.
Oh yeah, antique rifles definitely.
What one with the bayonet and a ramrod?
What do we need tents or anything?
Well, I was thinking if we could get something that was better than a tent, that might be worth it.
No.
Because
Nope.
because then it would be like we're gonna be sitting ducks, basically holding
Let's
on
see if
to
there's-
what raiders want.
Anything in here?
Oh.
TL4 is difficult.
I don't know, you want a fucking boomerang? Bolas? We got bolas. We get to defend our camp with bolas. Maybe the locals.
Man, they don't even have the. They don't
teach
even.
us how to use them.
They have the. They don't even have the tech level to make like audio only bugs or audio only cell phones or anything like that. These guys are. All of the tech that they have is imported.
Aha. We can get a muzzle-loading cannon mounted on a horse-drawn carriage, requiring a crew of 6 men.
Oh.
A cannon.
Yeah, tents are TL3.
Yep.
That's about
That's the
as
best
good
shelter
as
we
it
can get.
gets.
Well, we already have that.
Yeah, you already got tents.
Ooh.
Blades, broadswords, rapiers.
Level 4. I don't want. No.
Yeah, I'm not seeing nothing. There ain't.
Look at this crossbow. This is badass. I think I look like a badass with this crossbow. What do you think? Look at this fucking crossbow.
It'll look cool.
I just see you guys. Does anybody buy these plates that have these pictures of geese on them?
You know that somewhere in the verse there's like a diplomat
That's the
The
thing.
gift
Yeah,
that
that's
wins
the
them
thing.
over.
Yeah.
The goose plates.
the goose plates are there's one.
Zip guns. Whatever the fuck that is.
So a zip gun.
Cobbled together from whatever material.
Rip, that's a zip gun. So a zip gun is basically, I have actually seen a zip gun made from a metal pencil tube or a pen tube. And basically, it is a chunk of metal tube where they put the bullet in the end of it, and then there is like they put
they attach a rubber band to the end of it with like a nail, and you hold it and you go, and that fires the pistol. More likely to blow up in your hand than anything else.
Lord.
Yeah.
Oh yes. A duck's foot pistol.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 barrels on it.
Mm-hmm.
There was actually a famous pirate that carried a duck pistol. It might have been Jack Rackham.
Yeah,
It might have been, but yeah, he had, one of them had a duck's foot pistol.
I can't imagine what we would possibly need.
Yeah. I think anything with
Spade,
carrying is
shovel,
better.
you know, like we can get some
Post
tools.
holder for digging post holes.
Excavation sets, you know, carpenter's tools.
We can cobble together a fake town like they do in Blazing Saddles.
Or we just get them twice as much food and tell them, we ain't shit on this fucking planet.
Yeah, you could do that.
We'll just stock them up on food and water and be like, there's nothing worth the fucking
Yeah.
damn up there.
And even the water tastes funny.
Ugh.
It's like they haven't changed the filters, you know, in a while. You guys are gonna come back to the main game and be like, we have all this new information on what a shithole borite is.
Yeah. We'll never have to go down
Yeah, well,
from
yeah.
our base. We'll never at the gas giant.
Tis a
we'll
shitty
never
place.
be
Let's
tempted
not go
to
there.
to the planet. There's just no point.
Well, you should be glad that you didn't bother to stop at Borite looking for supplies to repair the space station because you'd been SOL.
Yeah, no doubt.
Excuse me. No, you're fine. Yeah, our game last night went to 11 o'clock.
Yeah. I think it's because I haven't had a day of like summer slug yet. Literally, my last day of school, I turned in my keys on Thursday afternoon and got on a plane on Friday morning.
Oh shit! Yeah, no, you haven't had
And
this.
then, you know,
Yeah.
like yesterday, we were doing stuff all day, and said today I had the funeral, and I need a day, and it will 100% be like sleep till noon,
Yeah.
to only get up and sit on the couch for 14 hours. Like, that's what I need.
No, I'm right there with you.
I am out.
So yeah, I have some weekends where it's like, you know, we do the Friday night game, we do the Saturday afternoon game, we do the Saturday night game, and then I get up at like 9:30 in the morning, and people are over here by 1 for as a private Sunday game. Because when I started working at the shop, the one promise that I made to my players and myself was that I would not let it interfere with our Sunday games.
It was a private game.
And I don't necessarily know, like I feel like that I've been 100% on that, because there are some Sundays where after doing 2 games on Saturday,
Yeah, it'd be
you know, you wake up at 9:30 or 10 on Sunday morning and you're like, okay, everybody's gonna be here. I gotta slug down some coffee, get my shit together,
Right.
you know. And then there's the fact, which is what I was talking about before, is I've been talking about maybe dropping the Friday and Saturday games to 3 hours. And the reason for that is that prep time for a 4-hour game
I agree with
is
I like our 2 hour.
the Wednesday
like
night
a lot.
2-hour game I love, yeah.
It's really perfect because you don't have the luxury of like just sitting around.
Right.
You know, you like get in, you get started. If you're late, you pick up what you can.
Right,
you know?
and you just move on,
And
yeah.
then at no point during those sessions am I looking at the clock.
Right.
But with 4 hours,
Yeah, 4 hours.
like right, and it's funny because it's right around 2.5, 3 hours in, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no matter how enthusiastic I started out, I'm looking at the clock. At
Yeah, I don't know.
2.5 hour mark.
I'm still considering. I might drop the Friday and Saturday games down to 3 hours, because for prep work, one of two things happens. Either I prep and I think that I prep the perfect amount, but then they get really good rolls,
And like
or
things move around.
or they solve things a lot
Thinking
quicker.
about that pie.
I'm waiting for my munchies to re-up my appetite.
Oh yeah.
That's how it
Or
works.
you know,
There's cherry pie.
they got
I know,
big brains
I'm gonna
that
have
day.
some because
And so they get through all that
Trouble.
content in like 2 hours, and I'm left with another 2 hours of just winging it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I prep, that'll happen, and then so the following week I'm like, oh, I gotta prep more, and then I end up with too much material, and
Or
so
you have a time where your group of 7 players wants to stay in one room and fight one boss
One
for the
boss,
entire
right.
4 hours.
well,
We did.
And I'm not gonna lie, I've done this a number of times. You probably have caught me on this, where I'll run out of material, and I'll be like, I'll just throw combat in here because with a table that large, a combat's gonna take a good half an hour to
Yeah,
get through.
yeah. It beats one game. My tools that I play with in North County.
My
Like
tools.
one of them. I don't know why he gets Contra Pixie, but he has a Pixie like familiar for whoever you get a familiar. And literally, it's a 4-hour game session. 3.5 hours is him and his Pixie peeking in windows with everyone else with their dicks in their hands.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Oh, that would get annoying quick.
And
I'm surprised you
then-
haven't lost your mind.
I got in trouble.
If you
I
want
was
some more,
like,
help yourself.
because that's the way all of our sessions go. And so finally, I said, no, I want to go up the stairs. I want to go up the column and see what happened. And I finally was like, fine, let's just do what person wants because we're gonna do that anyway, and I'll just go get myself a drink.
Mm.
And then later it was like, I felt personally attacked. I'm like, well, yeah, because you're a big whiny baby. No one wants to play with you.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like 3.5 hours of him and his Pixie looking in windows. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill your familiar.
Yeah, seriously.
If you keep this up, the game master sometimes gets bored and kills his familiar. Just like it's dead. Sorry.
I have been known to get chatty and enthusiastic about my role play and kind of take over a scene.
Right, but there's nothing wrong with like having a moment, or like a scene, like you say, a scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 3.5
Yeah.
hours where
Too much.
yours is the only voice, and then you whine when someone wants to make a decision you don't like. Whereas, like Cameron, she'll say, "I've heard my own voice far too long. Someone else needs to decide."
Mm-mm.
And like she doesn't then say, even though in our case she's captain,
Mm-mm.
it's fine, and she'll still be like, "No, someone else has to take over for a while because
Mm-mm.
I've heard my own voice too much." Like that's collaboration. It's
Yeah.
okay to occasionally pick up the microphone,
I know.
but
What's been nice playing Dungeons and Dragons with my stepson for the last several years. It's been good for our, our bonding and everything.
Yeah,
but it's
totally.
also been like how to teach him not to play D&D like a single player video game.
yeah, that's
Or like he
like,
just
this is-
wants to.
this is like grown ass men, and it really
Yeah.
does feel like if you want to be in charge of every decision, that's okay. But then this is not the game for that.
It's a game
Like-
called Pool of Radiance. It's just like D&D.
Exactly.
You
Or-
play it
or
alone.
Even like what's it called? Like the new Baldur's Gate video game. I think they're still in beta, but like play that. I mean, that's literally Dungeons and Dragons,
Mhm.
but you can play it by yourself.
Mhm.
Like do that. That's great. But like I'm tired of having to not roll my eyes at this camera, listening to you. Oh yeah, it's rough. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I'm gonna look at the
Yeah. Smoke more of the devil's lettuce.
do it.
Mm.
Then
Mhm.
Yes. I mean, it's gonna make the pie taste. So I'm sure it's delicious, but it's gonna taste
It's gonna be
even
even
better.
better.
I'm just waiting for my appetite to come back. I'm gonna have some.
Yeah. That was a lot of brisket for me.
The what?
That was a lot of brisket for me to eat.
I know, right? Yeah. Well, and that was my mistake is that I didn't eat all day, so then I stuffed myself with brisket and coleslaw. I'm so hungry. Oh, well, this is a handy chart. I didn't notice this was here. So encounter range band. Close is up to 5 meters. Short, 5 to 10 meters. Medium, 11 to 50. Long, 51 to 250. Okay, that makes probably a bit more sense. So I've been rereading through High Guard, which is all spaceships, and so normally your spacecraft range bands go as high as distant, which would be 50,000 kilometers. Then you get into High Guard, and High Guard's like, oh, well, we're going to add the very distant range band, which is like upwards of like 3 million kilometers, which I understand why they did it, because if you think about it, if you're thinking distant is 50,000 kilometers. 50,000 kilometers in space is nothing. That's nothing. But yeah, so I've been rereading that, and there's a lot of stuff in there that I don't know that I've used some of that information once or twice in the past. I don't know that it would be something that I would revisit very often. Mostly it would be revisited if you guys had decided, oh, well, we're going to do some modifications to the ship. Okay, well, now we'll pull out and we'll get into the meat of how you swap these compartments around and things like that. But it literally goes into, this is how you build a ship from scratch.
Oh, really?
And so you can get really crazy. But I mean, the one time that I've done it, it's pretty much, I'm not gonna lie, it's almost exactly the same rule. I don't know if anybody ever played Alternity from TSR, the old science fiction. It's almost exactly the same rules, but a little bit more freeform. So basically what you end up with is you have a spreadsheet, and you're like, okay, well, this vessel is going to be 1,000 tons. And when you're done, everything that you put in there, whether you forgot to put something in or not, has to equal out to 1,000 tons. And if you forgot something, well,
then you're missing it.
then you're either missing it, or you got to make some hard choices on what you want to get rid of to replace it.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Was there any way for me to maybe use my streetwise skill to maybe grease some palms and kind of be all like, and if anyone asks, you know, it was a lovely little Aslan lady that came in, or, you know, like.
Okay.
You
But
know,
what are
like,
you looking for?
Nothing, just trying to cover our tracks, and, you know, you didn't see us, you didn't, you know, so just kind of.
Yeah, go ahead and make a streetwise check.
Just kind
Streetwise
of like,
plus,
you know, kind of.
streetwise
It
plus
never hurts.
intellect.
Kind of
Yeah, it never hurts to encourage people
paying the
to
new
not-
guy tax.
Yeah.
Like, please don't, you know, fuck with us. We will, you know, give a little something, something to the communities around here to kind of, you know,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. You know, and just to not get, I don't know, pickpocketed or whatever, and just get, you know, be cool. Get the cool stamp.
Get in with the locals.
Yeah, go ahead and make a streetwise check.
That didn't turn out very well. But I got 3, 6. What do I add to that?
Intellect.
Intellect. So I got a 7.
Yeah, but you got 7 and money to come out if need be, so.
Yeah.
You don't have to be that big.
I got $3,000 in credits to, you know,
Raise some money.
help the world go round. If
So-
anyone happens to come looking for us,
So what'd you
no
get?
one's really heard anything. 7.
One of the things that you learn, so you grease some palms. I don't know how much money you want to throw around.
Oh, we'll put like 500 credits into it.
Okay.
Spread it around town a little.
One of the things that you learn, well, you learn a couple of things. So the first one is that as you're meandering around the town, kind of doing what you do, you make note that
had you not radioed the BCA about landing, or if the BCA said, no, we're not going to give you permission to go land somewhere else on the planet and do science, there's not really a whole lot they could do about it.
Right.
So as far as like defenses go for this town, you see a couple of anti-aircraft guns that look like they're surplus from from
A
about
long forgotten war.
50 years ago, maybe from the
Salvage.
possibly like some backwater planet during the Third Frontier War. You see some air. You don't even think that if one of these hit the pinnace as it was coming in, you might need to make a check to recorrect your course. It's not like anything more than scratch the paint. The other thing that you find is that there is a organized black market on Borite that is selling and dealing in tech. But most of it is mundane items like mobile comms, food processors, water filters.
Anything in the way of, I don't know, some grenades?
No. Probably the best that you would get. They've got a couple of revolvers and heavy revolvers, and they have a submachine gun that they would be able to sell. But you find that there is like it's basically an organized crime network. There's like a mafia type situation going on down here. And it seems that the BCA is in on it and is a part of it. But all of it is kept underground and hidden. And when, in the process of greasing the palms, you're told, oh, you should talk to this guy, and you should talk to this guy, and you should really meet Vinny, and Vinny will introduce you to Rourke, and Rourke will introduce you to Louie.
It's just and then you can give us all some money.
And then you can meet Three-Fingered Joe.
Yeah, and maybe Three-Fingered Joe. So you learn that there is like this little subculture going on that the BCA is a part of, and there's like this agreement between the organized crime and the BCA that you can go ahead and fence higher technology. Don't let anybody see it, because if this gets out of control and the raiders show up, we're fucked. So, the other thing that you learn, and you didn't really deal with them. You had an incident with the Augment Raiders. You learn that Augment Raiders. There's a couple of weird things about Augment Raiders. So on the planet Ogma, here's something weird. There is a Class B Jadeco starport, and the Augment Raiders leave it alone completely. They don't bother with it. The other thing that you learn is that there are different.
Sounds like there's mob boss there.
There are different clans and tribes of Augment Raiders. Some are more feral than others. But basically, one of any warlord of any of these clans of the Raiders, basically he is brought to chieftain status by how many ships he rides into combat, almost like a Viking thing. But there are some that are worse than others. Like most of them they will just come down to the planet and kidnap some engineers and scientists, maybe steal a ship if they can get their hands on it, and maybe steal some technology or weapons. Then there are others that will come down and don't kidnap anybody because they're going to eat. So, like I said, some are more feral than others. But that's kind of where you're at. But everybody is in agreement. No, you were never here.
It never hurts to be.
So,
Yeah.
you guys kind of spend the afternoon, a very boring afternoon in Borite, BCA, and
And I bring back my little people who hired me, 2,300 credits, and twice as much food as they expected, and, you know,
yeah, they're
some networking.
they're the best food and drink that you guys are given by BCA is like semi-warm Old English 800 and like generic Triscuit crackers with generic cheese whiz on them. That's, you know, yeah, that
But
passes.
now
for,
we got twice as much of it.
Right.
that passes for companies coming over on Borite. And so you load back up into
I'd rather
the.
have easy cheese than protein paste, so
Yeah.
easy cheese works just fine.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I like tofu. You know, I mean,
Sure.
with the right stuff, you know, you can make tofu taste like almost anything.
True.
I mean, except for the texture. But,
Right.
yeah. Like you got a packet of ramen powder, you can do a lot with tofu.
True.
So you guys load back up into the pinnace and it sets off, and it's not very far from the BCA's port authority, and Lynn sets the ship down and you guys unload. Now Borite, quite literally, the name is what the planet's all about. The planet has a large concentration of borite, borax, and you know, that heavy metal kind of quantities,
Okay.
which honestly, during the Sindalian Empire, made it semi-attractive. Not that, I mean, unless you're doing laundry, I can't really think of much. I guess in like metal fabrication,
It's gotta
borite's
be,
used a
yeah,
lot.
it's gotta be used in some kind of.
Yeah, metal fabrication. Of course, you're gonna have like arsenic and cyanide and borite, things like so.
Right.
So you know, during the Sindalian Empire, this planet was probably a booming mining town, but since there's nobody to buy up all these heavy metals, that kind of crashed the market. When there's zero economy, your business kind of goes in the shitter. And so you guys are there for 5 days, and the scientists are moving around, and even Alfred seems to kind of perk up. He's got some, you know, theories about different things, and you get the image of what Insight 3 could be when everybody's working together. They're actually operating like a real scientific research team, where, you know, person over here starts bouncing off a theory, this person over here replies with his ideas on the theory, this person over here says, well, it could be like this. I mean, they're actually functioning as a scientific unit. And all of your comms light up. Beep, beep.
Okay.
You are receiving a message from Price up on Insight 3. And he says, we've got a little bit of a situation up here. He says, we just picked up a Signal GK. Signal GK is an old Volani term. It is essentially SOS for Earth or Soleimani. Yeah, he says, we picked up a GK signal. It seems there's a vessel in vicinity of the next body out from Borite, which is a small gas giant.
Oh, ha! They're asking, it's those guys asking for help from the giant spiders.
Yeah. He says, ship's transponder indicates that it's a Type A2 far trader named the Jolly Joel. Flight plan says it was en route to Torpal from Norica. He says, I'm trying to get more information, but from what I can gather, the ship emerged from jump space close to the gas giant for some reason, and almost immediately began broadcasting Signal GK. Voice contact has not been established. The
it seems the signal GK transmission is an automated emergency beacon. There are no other ships detected in system at present. This ship doesn't have long it's going to burn up in the atmosphere of this gas giant. What do you guys want to do? Now, you're naval, or ex-naval. I think you had some naval background. You guys know that it is standard procedure that if you receive a distress call, you go out to help. Now, you're in the Trojan Reach, and I mean, even out in like the Spinward Marches or anywhere else in civilized space, I mean, if you don't go, are you going to get in trouble? You probably not. It's not like you're going to be hauled into court for it.
Well, then we're contracted for a specific job. I mean, we're guests on the lab.
Lab has
Contracted
no
for the
Ref's
lab.
military.
Gonna go, listen here, Bryce.
No.
And there's no defenses on the lab, like,
Yeah.
or offenses either.
Ronaldo is already coming up with a plan. He says, okay, so
I think Raf-
he's looking on
set it
his
straight.
Trap.
mobile
You
comm,
lured
and
into a
he
rape
goes
trap, y'all.
and he goes like this to your guys' mobile comms, and he's already come up with a plan that could shave time off to get Insight 3 to this distressed ship faster. His plan is to do a slingshot maneuver around borite. Now, the problem that you're seeing with this is that, so Insight 3 being a lab ship is not streamlined. It is
Right.
not designed to go into the atmosphere, and to do a slingshot maneuver requires you to skim the edge of the upper atmosphere. So you're going to have to be a hell of a pilot,
Right.
but we will shave off the 5-day journey to the gas giant. You could make it in about 68 hours.
Well, I feel like Alfred's the one that hired us to do the job. And so whatever our training is, we got hired to do a job, and therefore that's the job we're doing. And
Okay.
I don't want to take a ship that's completely undefendable to investigate something of unknown origin unless we can get better information.
Yeah, I agree. We don't have any guns on this ship. That we can external guns on the ship that we can use.
Just us hanging off the side. Pew,
Yeah,
pew, pew.
yeah.
So
that's
Alfred is already on the comm telling Price to continue to try to get voice transmission from the Jolly Joel.
Yeah, I think getting it more information, I think that's valid. Surely
Yeah.
the lab's got scanners, you know, like if it's a science vessel, that
Yes.
they're used to long distance scanning as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
So as long as we're not going in blind,
So-
I'd say we go, but right now it sounds like we'd be going in blind with no weapons.
The
Just not excited.
So the other part of this slingshot maneuver plan is, so you slingshot around the planet, which is, and then at full 2G burn, head towards the ship. But you won't normally, so if you know, you would know this, but so the ship is heading towards, let's say I'm landing on the DM screen. You would come halfway, then the ship flips and slows down. So its thrusters are pointing. His idea is you slingshot, you don't flip and slow down. And when you get halfway, the pinnace launches, and the pinnace has a 5G thrust. So you do a 5G burn. The lab ship overshoots, spins, decelerates. You rescue these guys, and then you meet up as the lab ship is coming back. Now, answering your question, Price radios down that he has checked the instruments
He says he's not sure because he doesn't do all that science. He's an engineer. He doesn't do all this sciencey shit. But it looks to him like it looks like most of the engineering section of the Jolly Joel is missing. And he's picking up a lot of debris around the ship.
Bad jump, shot at. Could be a couple.
That's true. It could be a result of a bad jump that they fell out of airspace and.
But he estimates that they have maybe 75 hours before they are crushed in the atmosphere of the gas giant.
Then
Price-
we better hurry.
So Dr. Marie says, she automatically says, okay, pack up camp, we're going. But she says, it could be a number of things. But her thought is, somebody had to activate the emergency distress beacon.
Right. So theoretically, there's someone alive on board.
Right.
Yeah.
And but it could also be a trap. Although, with a recognition,
Being pirates, we know a little something about
we
throwing a
we know
fake
what we would
distress
do.
signal.
But with
We would
the-
never do such a thing.
No, with a legit debris field, that does change things. If they've been able to identify a debris field, that signals actual distress as opposed to eject the drive. We'll go swing by and pick it up when this is all done.
Did the people,
Right.
Did the people I talked to about town say anything about raiders using, like a
Fake distress signal?
Fake distress signals as a tactic.
they're smart enough.
Nobody here has ever known anybody in the Borite system to do that. I mean, not from Augment Raiders. Augment Raiders that have hit Borite are very straightforward. They don't radio in. They come into the atmosphere.
Like
they,
Reavers.
yeah, they're like Reavers. They land. They kick the shit out of a bunch of people, and then they leave.
Alright, that's probably not what we're dealing with then.
Right.
Those particular things.
I mean, yes, it's possible that some of the Augment Raiders might do something like that, but I have a really hard time believing that Augment Raiders would use that much finesse. That's just not.
Okay. I think we gotta do
They're
it.
techno barbarians, you know.
Right. If we've confirmed that scans indicate that there's no or little engineering remaining and there's a legitimate debris field, then I'm less suspicious. So, plus I feel like it's just where the story's going.
We
I
can
don't
get
know.
there just in time if we do the slingshot maneuver.
Right.
Okay.
I better not screw up this.
So they, so you guys load up Chubb, and Lynn takes you.
Hop in the dickmobile.
Yeah.
I'll never get over it.
Yeah, I
I'll
know.
laugh every time.
I can't not call it by its name because
I know.
it's just hilarious.
I know.
So you take off and you get up and she docks with the. Now she has to make. Remember, she has to make 2 trips. So she goes up while you guys are finishing packing up, unloads like the tents and camping gear, comes back down, picks you guys up, and goes back up. So you're probably looking at you just burned at least 8 hours.
Okay, awesome.
You guys get back up there. So
So now it's 8 hours later. Has there been any change in status according to Price?
there's been no. He has not received any voice
He
communication.
hasn't gotten a voice communication, but also like there doesn't seem to be like loss of life support or no sudden.
You can't
leaks
tell
of,
from this distance.
No sudden leaks of radiation or.
No, there's been no explosions or anything
Just like this,
dramatic.
There'd still be a point to going.
Right, yeah, there's still something there. So, to set up the slingshot, you need to make an average pilot check plus dex. So 8 plus, and it will be D3 minutes.
Ooh, that's 5.
It'll take you 2 minutes.
That's 8. 9.
Okay. So at any of these stages, you can choose to abort. So like if you were to abort at this stage, essentially you could just reset up and do it again.
Okay.
The next check is a difficult 10 plus pilot check, plus dex.
Okay.
And this takes 1d minutes. This will take 5 minutes.
Can it be assisted?
Yes. Go ahead and make a pilot check. We can make this a tough check.
Raf will man the other
So-
console, see if I can help
So
you out.
then what she gets, it'll give a bonus on the main pilot's check.
Okay.
So what am I rolling?
Roll piloting plus dexterity. You want to get difficult 10 plus.
Spacecraft, right? 11.
Nice. So that's a +1 to your roll.
Sweet. Okay. That's 11.
Bitchin'.
14 plus dex is 15 plus bonus.
Okay, so that is a +6
Yeah.
success. So the rest, everybody else, is like strapped in.
Yeah, in the crash couches.
Yeah, more or less.
Sorry, I've been reading The Expanse or listening to the audiobook of The Expanse, so now that's like everything is in context of that.
Since seeing The Expanse, I kind of hate the idea of gravity plating
Yeah.
because it's so much more realistic.
The boots.
Either the boots or your ship has gravity when you're under high burn.
Right.
You know,
even-
that
or like
it
the
makes
spin.
more sense.
And what blew my mind is right now on the International Space Station, they're testing rotational gravity
Uh-huh.
on vertebrates. So like this pivotal moment on the show, which I will not say any plot, is like they decided to spin the drum. They need gravity, so they decided to try
Oh,
to spin
when
the
they,
drum.
when they,
And but that's all they say about it. It's like it's this big moment, and it's like they give each other like
you don't want to give
rousing
away what the ship
speech
is.
and all that, and they spin the drum, and then which is cool. It's like yeah, and then I was reading a press release from NASA that they're doing rotational gravity.
Yeah, they're testing it out.
on vertebrates to see if they can create artificial gravity. I'm like, oh my god, my brain!
Well, now here's the thing that's really going to piss you off.
I don't want to hear anything that makes me sad about
Oh.
it.
So,
I love it.
so Nixon is the reason why we had the space shuttle program.
Sure.
And the space shuttle program, no lie, was a waste of fucking time and money.
I can see.
If he had held true to the plan that NASA had laid out for them, we would have had a space station with rotational gravity in like 78, 80, because von Braun already had the plans laid out. He already knew all of this.
Right.
We could have been on Mars as early as like 95.
Yeah.
But instead, we went with the fucking space shuttle program
Right.
so that we could hang around in low Earth orbit and see what frogs do in zero gravity.
Yeah.
He's like,
And end up with the Challenger.
yeah, and the yeah, there is that.
Although, like supplemental discoveries that were made because of the space program, even
I'm
as
not
it is,
saying
were
that
still
that-
valuable.
Yeah, I'm not saying that
No,
all of their
no.
experiments were completely
Yes.
useless.
But like lots of things like that only came about because they had to figure out how to work in that.
Right, but I think that those discoveries would have been made anyways if we had a big habitat floating in geosync
Right.
Lagrange orbit,
Right.
Yeah.
and you would in a Lagrange orbit you wouldn't need station keeping. It just stays there
Right.
forever.
Right.
So yeah, every time I read about von Braun, I'm like, God damn Nixon, like, you son of a bitch. But you know, whatever. So you guys are strapped into your acceleration couches, and you can see fire coming up through the windows as Insight skirts the top of the top layer of
The
Atmo
atmosphere, yeah.
and comes around, and she pulls it off and slingshots you. You can see on the viewport there's the gas giant. You guys are going really fast.
Hauling it.
Yeah, well, not. I guess you've probably picked up another G of speed from slingshot orbit, so you're probably going 3G, and your thrusters are pegged at 2. So yeah,
Zoom.
right. And
High
But
One of Grace TV shows.
Might have to binge a new thing. I'm almost done with Black Mirror.
It's so good. I just, yeah. Like, I've read the first
man, you guys are so lucky.
3 or 4 novels. I'm
You
on
guys-
the 4th novel. It's so good.
As she comes around and slingshots out, you guys can hear from the inside the ship like the walls.
We're really straining.
Keith, make a engineering check. Engineering plus your choice of intellect or EDU.
What kind of engineering? Just engineering?
This is how we died. Why we had to make
It's
new characters.
the update that we
Actually,
sent
make a
that
mechanics
we
check. A
sent to
mechanics
We
plus
can't die
intellect or
because we
EDU.
know we have a future somewhere else.
Sorry, Captain. We killed ourselves. Sorry.
9.
Okay, so
Tommy got promoted.
she comes out and you unbuckle
Pop out
and
of
you kind of,
existence
you and
wherever we are
Price
in the
make your
future.
rounds. You find that there was a small, like, pinhole size Atmo leak.
Mm.
But you quickly seal that up, and other than that, there's no problem.
Yay.
Just a small hole in the spaceship as we're going through G. No big deal.
Yeah, you don't really want any small holes in the spaceship, but
No, you really don't. But good job stealing it up.
That
Thank
whole-
you for that.
the whole scene in the airlock in Battlestar Galactica with Tyrell and Callie.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, fuck that. No. No, I like to breathe, thank you. At about halfway point, Lynn, who normally doesn't allow anybody to fly Chubb, hands you the keys, and you 3 are authorized to go over. The scientists aren't going to go. They're not
They're
rated
useless.
for anything in space.
Right.
But she hands you the keys to Chubb, and you can go over and check out the Jolly Joel. Now, as you are getting closer,
See, it even sounds like a pirate ship.
It does.
I know, right? This is what you're seeing as far as the debris field around Jolly Joel. As you can see, this area up here has a significant problem. This ship's not going to
Seems
fly
to
again.
be.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Um,
they're sealed off somewhere.
You are given the keys and sent on your way to deal with this however you want. They are going to stay on board. However, you are getting voice transmissions now.
Okay, I was gonna say. Did
Um,
explore
You get like a staticky video image that blips in and out, and you see a guy wearing the like the top cap that you wear inside a spacesuit, and he introduces himself as Captain Campion Delaney. He says, Jolly Joel has come from Noricum. The ship was en route for Torpal by the back roads and intended to make a gas giant refueling. Incident of some kind occurred not long after we exited jump space. Our drives are damaged. 2 of the crew are severely injured and in emergency low berths. The other 2 crew members, Garv and April, are trying to make emergency repairs, but the engineer was among the casualties. Our vector is carrying us in towards the gas giant, though not directly. It will be drawn in and will fall into the atmosphere, but I don't have an accurate estimation as when. Our astrogation computers are offline.
Okay.
The ship is fucked.
So they're fine.
Yeah.
Basically, we need to salvage them, get them on our ship,
Right.
and get out. Scuttle it once we're in
Sure.
a safe distance. Okay.
No funny business.
Right.
Your
Nice.
rascals will
Leave
evacuate you. Mind your P's
Ronaldo
and Q's.
estimates, according to his projections, there are 68 hours before the Jolly Joel enters the first layer of atmosphere. He says there's going to be some minor turbulence. There's going to be heating effects. 5 to 7 hours after that happens, it'll enter deeper into the atmosphere. And 20 to 22 minutes after that, it will begin the final plunge.
Okay, so we have 68 hours.
And 6 to 8 minutes after the final plunge, the whole thing's going to come apart.
Okay.
So you've got 75 hours, give or take.
Right. So is this a class of ship that we would be able to like pull up plans for? Or,
Certainly.
No, okay. Because I
I will
feel like
Do that for you right now.
the first thing would be to get the low berth and survivors to a location like near a point of egress that we could then, either do a hard seal and have them come aboard or go get them.
Yeah.
Chuck some evac suits out the air.
Good luck! Here's
There you go.
your vac suit.
Type A2 Far Trader.
Okay.
I will be right back.
Whoa, Crashy McGee. So I'm gonna name my next ship
Crashy McGee.
Crashy McGee.
I like it.
Well, it looks like the damage is over. These are locks, so maybe they're locked in here. It looks like there's a lock to the exit, to the outside here. I'm assuming that aperture is an airlock.
Yeah.
Yes. So maybe we get them to bring their survivors to the airlock at 3
Mm-hmm.
and just pull up alongside and seal it off. That would be seems to be the best way to escape, particularly because the damage is like back here. And so this is probably already locked down. So just have them come to here and then either probably pull up alongside and extend some way to get them from one ship. Yeah.
My wife says your pie is delicious.
It was so good.
So, of course, you are. I don't know. Do you guys have any special kind of armor or spacesuits, or just vac suits?
Mine is hold on.
You got combat armor.
Combat armor.
Right.
I went for the best, closest I could get to Drapers.
Oh, without having without
Like
a
I
battle
got-
dress.
Basically, yeah. I think that you said the closest I was allowed to have to battle.
Well, you're on
was
Thieves now,
combat
so if you want to go shopping for battle dress, we can make that happen.
Ooh. Although that's like so difficult to.
Rexar
probably-
has battle dress.
Yeah. Maybe then I'll get some because I just feel like that would mean to move slow. But yeah, I mean she holds together 2 ships,
Right.
so like this, Captain America style, in her combat
Nice.
armor, so that they can do the exact kind of maneuver we're trying to pull off right now.
Right.
She just has one hand on
So-
one airlock and one hand on the other.
Here's the thing about the Jolly Jolt. If you look where the airlock is,
Yeah.
it is doing this. So, Ching Shihh needs to make a piloting check.
Pull it alongside.
Mm-hmm. Because you're basically going to have to match a flat spin to dock.
Okay. But then once I'm docked, can I use like my thrust to
Straight it out.
straighten it out and stop the spin?
You could. Now, you may not want to though, because if it's in a spin, then and there's no power aboard, at least there will be gravity from the spin.
True. Okay. So what we said is that via the voice message, even though it's cracked, we're gonna get the message to them that they need to be at the airlock 3,
Okay.
which is towards the nose of the ship,
Okay.
to get their survivors and the
low bird, whatever it's called, the carbonite.
Oh, the
endangered.
emergency low birds.
Yeah, the low birds. That's
Okay.
what I'm thinking of. To that location, so that we can line up with that point and just connect and pull them
Gotcha.
as quick as possible. Okay, that's 10, 13, 14.
Mm-hmm. So, like a pro, you are able to dock. So you get to the air. The three of you get to the airlock, and you look through the window. There's nobody there.
Oh, that's not good.
So do I have to stay?
You're like, I've got a bad feeling about
Do
this.
I have to stay in the cockpit
No.
once we're docked? Okay, so then I'm gonna take my. Do I want my boarding gun or my breaching gun?
Yeah, Raf's gonna be standing by.
I'm gonna take my breaching gun.
Yeah.
Laser pistol in hand.
A breaching gun. So you got a vessel that's already coming apart. I don't know that a breaching gun would be a good idea.
So what would you say? Boarding? I just want a big one. I want a big gun. I mean, I have an advanced combat rifle too.
Well, the boarding gun kind of fills 2 niches because of those darts.
Right?
Yeah.
I just want, because I do, if they're not there. Now,
I'm just saying that with a boarding gun, because it is, it basically fires a shape charge. I don't know that you want to blow anything else up. It's up to you though.
right. Okay. Then I guess I'll take my combat rifle.
Okay. Your advanced combat rifle?
Yep.
That's fantastic.
Is that good? Are those fresh cherries too?
Yeah, they're.
Holy cow. So good.
Give me some of that.
And it shows that they're fresh berries. When you use the canned cherries, you sometimes get that.
Like bitter.
It's almost like a metallic
Yeah.
tang.
Yeah.
Those are.
No, that was so good.
Excellent.
That's like a welcome back to Oregon.
All right.
In a dish.
Like
Like cherry pie is like
Please.
welcome to Oregon. This time of year.
Or strawberry, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And having
Cherries are cheap right now.
having lived in the Dalles, it's and the river, it's cherry. The cherries do it.
Mhm.
It's like, yes, the Oregon strawberries are lovely for the Willamette Valley, but
We always,
having
when I was
lived
a
in
kid,
cherry
we always used to
country-
go to Hood River and get apples, but that wasn't until like, what, September?
Right.
Yeah.
And they're pears.
Oh yeah, and the pears are good.
Pears are great, but especially in the Dalles, it's the cherries.
Is that where you grew up? Is in the Dalles?
No, I grew up in Orange County.
Oh really?
Yeah. It's really funny how small the world is because I grew up 3 blocks from the school I now teach in.
Oh really?
Like, my parents still live in the same house. I could walk to their house after work if I wanted to.
Oh my god.
Yeah. When you had sent me your address, I'd never heard of the town, and so I looked it up and I was like, oh okay.
Like right
And-
there. Yeah. I live, yeah, I mean, I hear the fireworks of Disneyland every night.
Nice.
Yeah, it's wild.
Nice. So, okay, so you're gonna bring your advanced combat rifle.
Yes.
Raf, of course, has her trusty laser pistol.
I'll be armed with the advanced combat rifle as well.
Okay. So you two are in vac suits,
Yes.
and you're in a combat.
So, but before we go over there, so we've had video and audio with. Okay.
When you look through this window, you don't see anybody. It is mostly dark, and then you can see, like, you come out of the airlock and there's like a T hallway, and you can
Right.
see like the flickering
Well,
of
that's
lights,
the
and then
thing
it
is,
goes
like-
dark, and then there's flickering and it goes
Like
dark.
I want to like somehow send the message that like I know it sounds stupid, but like shaving a haircut, like I want to talk to the captain on the ship and say, I'm gonna do, you know, X and you need to do Y or we're taking other. You know what I mean? Like, cause I don't want us to like, we're here, and like
Get attacked. Okay, so you want to radio in and say, hey.
like we or even say like we don't see you.
Okay.
We need
Yeah.
we need visual confirmation that you're there.
You radio in, and after a few moments, you see a vac-suited individual come in, and you, as he gets closer, you can see through the faceplate that this is Captain Delaney. And he slaps the door, and the door opens, and he says, "I apologize. This ship is all we have. That's all I have, and so we're trying. We've got, some time before things get, 0 hour. We're trying to salvage as much as we can, and we have a cargo hold full of stuff that we really appreciate bringing with us."
What can we fit on our ship?
Now they don't have a full cargo hold, but you could fit what they have. He says
21 tons is what we've got in this.
well,
We don't have
it
to-
can hold 21 tons, but it's not carrying even close to that much.
So what do you guys think? Do we let them bring on do we spend the time to let them bring on their
He says
cargo?
it's just a couple of crates.
What do you guys think?
He says, "I'd really like to pull some of the wiring and circuit boards out. We could probably sell that." He's like, "Once my ship is destroyed, I don't have anything, so I'd like to
He can
pull
join-
some and sell for salvage, at least maybe be able to get back on my feet."
I don't know. He can join the crew. I don't want to stay a minute longer than we have to personally.
I agree with that.
We're all going to be a lot thinner, like really soon. Like in about 3 days, we're going to be like this big.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, let's get the injured on board first.
Okay. Yeah, he's
so, like,
totally on board
The
with that.
lowbers, get them on board.
And as soon as you say that, he hits the mic on his suit and he calls to Garv and April. He says, "Bring the low berths up."
Okay. And then I say we give a time frame of like 20 hours. When
She
they can get on board and-
April radios back and she says, "Cap, I hope they got an engineer because we're gonna have to dismantle these low berths and then get them plugged into the power supply on their pinnace because I have no idea how to do this."
Okay.
And he says, "Sorry, that was my first officer. Is one of you an engineer?"
I'm an engineer.
Says, "If you could go down and help, they're down in the cargo bay."
Splitting up the party.
Uh-huh.
I
Alright.
did not want to send anyone down there.
You can go with them.
No, I mean, I don't want any of them to go. I want them to bring them up. And for them to move all of their cargo.
So here's what you know. You know a
on
little
our
bit about
timeline.
emergency low berths. I
Yeah.
mean, especially you two.
Yeah.
So there are low berths, and then there are emergency low berths. Low berths are generally used for both emergencies and for if there are passengers that just can't afford a whole lot, and so they'll put them into cryogenic freeze.
Right.
And then the ship's crew actually puts money into a pot and takes a lottery to see how many of them are going to die.
Right.
You bring them out.
Right.
Emergency low berths are even more cramped and are basically, oh, this guy's been shot. We don't have a doctor. Throw him into cryo freeze. But they are attached to a base unit. So essentially what they need the engineer to do is work some life science engineering magic to disconnect that from the base unit, get it to the pinnace, and plug it into their power supply on the pinnace.
Right. Okay.
And so April, you find out, is the first mate. And Garv is basically their version of Raf. He's a jack of all trades.
Right. Okay. What do you guys think? Do we do it? Do you want them?
I'm gonna go for it.
Okay.
Okay. So, are you two going with him?
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna let them just go on the guts of the
Okay.
ship on its own.
So you see,
Cover their backs.
as you are making your way down, you go past engineering, and the doors closed, emergency hatch. And you're looking through the window, and you see there is a big hole where the J drive used to be. Yeah, engineering is foobar. It looks like the maneuver drive even took some damage. Now, price radios you and says, if you need to buy yourself some time, you can take all the power that's left in the ship's batteries and you can jury rig the maneuver drive for one burst. It's a 1G burst, and that'll bring you back up to a higher orbit. It'll basically buy you about another 5 hours.
Great.
If you do it now, it'll buy you another 5 hours. If you do it after it sinks to the next level, it'll only buy you about 3 hours. So if you do it after that, it's only like an hour, and you better get the shit off of that plane.
I say we cut down the amount of time they have to load whatever it is they want. Way down. I mean, personally,
So you don't want to do the burst and just hustle it?
I want to tell the captain that he's got, 20 hours. And in 20 hours, if it's not loaded, he can join our crew. But
Like,
we're
look here, y'all.
not, we're not sticking
You're
around.
strangers, and we came here in the
Yeah.
kindness of our own,
We're here to save bodies, not businesses. So
Do you have broker?
she does.
Raf, make a broker check.
I don't care how much money he offers us. I do not want to get this level of suntan.
Yeah, there'll be suntan involved with losing weight as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of radiation, and you get to those lower atmospheric levels of a gas giant.
11.
He says 20 hours, no problem.
Okay.
And if you give me a little bit of leeway here, we'll cut you in for 25% of our take of the cargo we've got.
Alright, let's get moving.
Okay. So you get down into as you guys are making your way to the cargo hold, you find Garv, who is basically using a cutter, and he's just ripping like manifolds of wire out of the wall. They're salvaging whatever they can from what's left of the Jolly Joel. You salvage the circuit boards from the main computer. That's probably a good 25,000 right there, especially if it's got logs or astrogation logs on it. You can sell that, maybe get a down payment for a new ship. They're doing whatever they can to become a free trader again.
Right.
Um,
Just don't want to
I mean, Raf understands all of this. You would understand, coming from
Because you're
operating a
spreading-
free trader in the Sword Worlds Confederation. You're like, I get it. If something had happened to S. Bendersmith, you'd be feeling, well, it almost did happen to S. Bendersmith when you guys were on Mithril. So, yeah, you get it. But then you're also more practical, and you're like, it doesn't matter how much money you make if you're dead.
Yeah.
But you understand their thinking. So you
I'm
get
not gonna let you drag me down with you.
right.
So.
So you
your
get
shit-
into
get your ducks in a row.
Yeah.
you get into the cargo hold. You find their emergency low berths. And when you get close to them, April's like, "Okay, it's over here." Like she's trying to distract you. Make a recon plus intellect check.
Everyone who's down there, or just him?
It's all three of you.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Because when you made that laugh, I'm like, oh, maybe we should all check.
So are you all walking up with him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a 4.
9.
Okay, hold on. So you said recon plus.
Yeah.
Recon plus intellect.
Oh, okay. Then 11.
Well, shit. Did not expect that.
We're not falling for it.
It's not that. So April clearly was trying to divert your attention. So they're like Captain America when they put him in the thing and inject him with all the drugs to
Right.
become Captain
Or like
America.
carbonite.
There's a little
Frozen.
window.
Yeah.
You look through the window and you're like, you can see that the person in there is as far, you can't see below here. But you can see that they're not wearing their shirt, and you can see that they're bandaged. Make a, and you're the only one that saw this,
Okay.
so make a medicine plus either intellect or EDU check. And it's going to be very difficult. You need to get a 12 plus.
Okay. I do actually have medic. So you said medic plus intellect?
Intellect or EDU, your choice.
Okay.
Mm. In this case, because you're looking through bandages, I'm going to say intellect.
Excellent, because that's what I would have chosen. Okay, 11. Make it.
No, but you were very, very, very close. This bandaging, to you, from what you can see, looks an awful lot like bandaging that would be done if there was a gunshot wound.
Okay.
Now, that's not to say that the same bandaging could be done if there was.
I'm watching your plate move and roll around,
Oh.
move around on
Oh,
top of
from-
it. It just blew up and slid across and hovered
Yeah, little
over for a
hovercraft, that's
while. Like, woo!
That's not to say that this kind of bandaging wouldn't be done if there was, say, shrapnel damage or something like that, but most commonly you've seen this kind of field dressing done if there was a gunshot wound.
Okay. Well, I feel like I should convey that information and encourage Keith to move as quickly and focused as possible on the bursts so we can get the fuck out of here.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
And whatever silent, like,
yeah, right.
whatever that is.
Get out of here.
Like,
She's over here trying to tell you to steal third base, bro.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So Keith, make a. Do you have engineering life science?
I don't. I have 0 on that.
No, that's fine. Go ahead and make a engineering plus either your choice. Actually, in this case, it would be EDU,
Okay. So
and it'll be average.
I think if we can get the low burst off the
8.
ship, then we can wait for them
Yeah, you got it.
to finish loading.
So
Whatever they want.
it
Back
takes
when
you
they're
about 2
lower
hours
ship.
to disconnect these things from their base units,
I like that. Be like, it's wide open.
and then
Load up what you can.
basically it's going to take
But the minutes, I think it's
4 of you,
if somebody's
you guys
really-
plus April, the first officer,
you guys run
to
around.
carry this guy because the ship's spinning, so there's gravity, so you got to carry this cryo tank back up to the chub.
nice. All right.
Raf will help.
So you guys take another. It's 3 hours more for you to. So it took him 2 hours to disconnect them. It takes another 3 hours for you to get these 2 things up there to the chub and plug them in
Okay.
to the power. So and secure them with cargo nets.
Okay.
So these 2 guys, these popsicles aren't going to roll around or anything. And as you're plugging them in, you see Garv and April and Delaney are carrying in some crates from the cargo hold and putting them in. All 3 of you make a recon plus intellect check. And it will be very difficult, 12 plus.
With these weirdos.
I don't want to know the odds.
Yeah, if you want, I can stop telling you what the roll will require.
I
12.
only have 11.
I have
Yeah.
5.
You got a 12? You got a 5.
That's
You,
fine.
you're focused on what you're doing, plugging this guy in, making sure
Yeah.
that all the lights are coming up
Ching
green,
Shihh
and
gave
you're like,
me the
why is
elbow.
this one
Like,
flashing
oh.
yellow?
And all I can
Oh, he's
do,
got a network connection.
I know something's wrong, but I have no idea. Like, something's giving me the heebie-jeebies, but I'm not.
Because something's
observant
giving her
enough.
the heebie-jeebies. I'm looking around like,
Yeah,
what
and
the
then you
Which
fuck
is
actually
where
figured
maybe
out.
on here?
My 11 has the hair on the back of my neck standing up, making eyes at you.
Have you seen like a military tactical weapons crate? The hard plastic?
Sure, yeah.
They load one of those on, and you see that on it, in very faded paint, is that symbol.
That
That is-
Dynex.
That is the Sindalian Star Dragon Empire symbol.
Nice. Okay.
And below it, it says, warning,
Oh, good.
in Volani, which everybody speaks.
What the fuck's in that crate you got there?
Nothing, and that's not a part of the 25%.
Get that shit the fuck off my boat.
What she said.
Uh,
What she said.
he says, no, hold on, we can negotiate this, maybe.
My boat! Get that shit
So
the
you're
fuck
gonna try-
off my boat!
He goes, wait, and he goes, click, click, and he opens it. You realize that inside this case is a bomb. This is a Sindalian bioweapon.
I don't want to be near a gas giant and a malfunctioning ship.
And an
And
and a
a
2,000-year-old bioweapon.
An unstable bioweapon. I want
Oh
to
my
push
God.
that out the airlock.
He's like, now, do you have any idea how much this would be worth on the black market?
Do you have any idea how dead we'll be if it malfunctions and all this shit?
Do you have
Oh,
any idea
the
how much I
bio-
want to put you back on that boat and
He's
turn
like,
around?
well, wait, the bioweapon part, any biologicals in it after this amount of time are going to be inert.
Don't believe you. I would think I'm all for removing it.
Yeah.
It's
That's
like,
not
how
the
bad
kind
do you
that
want to
backs down
survive?
after a threat. Like, she wants that shit off the boat, it's either off the boat or, no. Just, no. Ain't messing around with that shit. Homie don't fucks with that.
So yeah, we're happy to help you put it back on the ship, and then you can start that distress signal again,
you
and see if someone else will help you.
Click, click. You hear 2 guns being drawn. Everybody roll initiative.
We don't have time for this.
we ain't got time for this shit.
-1 again. Boom.
Hold on to
Same,
that.
same.
-1. Like a big week. Talking a good game and not doing shit.
Wow.
So exciting. So exciting. There's a bomb!
I didn't know that was wrong.
You know,
Oh no.
if
You're like, this is so not good.
Captain Smith were here, she'd just hold her gun against the bomb and be like,
Okay, hold on just a second.
what? We're dealing with it.
Just hold her pistol against the gun, against the bomb. But to kill us all for compliance.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Because that's what we did. Did you
Oh, right.
did you play in the underwater adventure?
No.
Oh, that's what we were in.
Just at the end.
We were in the underwater tower arguing with people, and she just like held a gun.
Yeah, she just pointed her Gauss pistol at
outer,
the wall.
The outer wall, thousands of
Stop
feet
it, or I'm gonna
underwater.
pull the trigger.
But don't you think that's what Captain Smith would do now?
Probably, yeah.
With the bomb, it'd be like, you're gonna get this off my ship.
Or I'll shoot it
just pull the
myself,
trigger
and we'll all get
We'll all
dosed.
die, and it won't matter about the gas giant.
So, Keith, what did you get?
I got -3.
Ugh. Well, you did better than Garv. Garv got a negative. What did Ching Shihh get?
-1.
And Raf also got a -1. So.
So my big motivation at this point is to get them, like, I guess in all the science fiction I've seen, there's usually like a tube that connects the 2 ships to look like they're mating.
Mm-hmm.
I want to, push the crew back onto their ship. that, like, they want to fight, then they can fight from their ship.
Yeah,
Has
you
no
guys
drive
could be
and no
you guys could be
power.
assholes over there.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
We're trying to help you. We don't care if you make a profit. Don't give it on board.
either that or I want to push them on out the
Oh,
holes.
to good friends, good food, and good gaming.
Yes! Cheers!
Need one of these.
This is
Oh,
exactly
help yourself.
A little bit more.
What the doctor ordered.
Yeah.
This is a great way to kick off the summer. Like, super glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad.
Yeah, this has been great.
It's just good.
So, interesting thing about Kilbeggins is that it is the oldest Irish whiskey licensed Irish whiskey distillery in all of Ireland. In fact, when the economy ate shit, the town was about to become completely bankrupt, and the distillery saved the town. Gave everybody jobs, and yeah, they're actually quite an amazing, and it's for a slightly cheaper Irish whiskey. It's actually really good.
this is good.
It's delightful.
Yeah,
So is Kilbeck in the city too?
it's, yeah, the town of Kilbeggin, I believe. Yeah, they're basically like a town hero. So, April, you got a 2 on her initiative. She has an auto pistol. And she points it at Kieth Clark as he's plugging in their injured,
Oh, hell no.
their 2 injured people in the freezer tubes. And she's like, she looks at Raf and she says, drop your weapon or your engineer gets it. And you notice, you can see even in her vac suit, she's like, Captain, what's going on? And Delaney's like, she'll do it. I think everybody needs to be fucking cool here.
So whose initiative is it?
It's April's. What do you want?
But-
I'm giving you a chance
Yeah.
to respond.
She's threatening to. Well, you're welcome to go back onto your ship. We have no problem with that. Take that crate. And
Delaney says,
yourself.
we all know that that's not an option. Our
And
ship
take
isn't
that.
going anywhere.
So, it seems to me.
We're happy to take you without the bomb.
Yeah. We'll take all your shit except for this bomb.
And
We'll take all
Delaney
the
says to
wine,
April,
we'll
he
do all
goes,
that.
go with plan A, and she pulls the trigger. +2 damage.
What are you wearing?
Cloth armor.
Better put that bitch down.
So cloth armor is 8.
Yeah, I'd say.
So
Can't-
you would
can't be
take
erased with the other
6
timeline.
damage.
6, okay. So we're down to 2 endurance.
And your suit, your vac suit that you're wearing over your cloth armor, you see a puff of air come out and then it self-seals. And she already used her minor action. So, Captain Delaney, you have a +1 to your attack. Make a dexterity check.
6.
He is able to quick draw and get a shot off. And
I
as
did this before.
Stupid scientist making us do this.
he misses,
Yes.
he misses.
Can't collect our payment if we're dead.
He misses, and the bullet ricochets off the lid of the bioweapon, and the lid slams shut.
Right, that's something.
And he, as he's firing, he says, "Plan A is take your ship." Yes. Come on, do math. There we go. Let's see, 2, 3. Ching Shihh, what would you like?
I'm going to.
Full auto fire.
Well, basically, well,
Oppressive fire.
I was going to go with April, but since this is like not her going rogue, and instead is his plan, I'm gonna fire on the captain.
All right.
Which would be gun combat plus. Is it gun combat plus?
Oh, well,
dex?
no. Hold on.
I think so.
Before we go any further, let me double check something.
I've got my combat rifle, which is auto 3. So I can switch it to auto. Going to, I thought that meant I could hit it like that. Just spray.
How does this? That's interesting.
So there's 3 of them.
So these guys. Oh no. So you're not wearing your cloth underneath, and you're not wearing any armor underneath. Your vac suit has +8 protection.
Oh.
Back suit has 8.
I didn't even realize until I was looking at this guy's stats. I'm like, how he's wearing a vac suit? How does he have +8? So yeah, your vac suit gives you protection in and of itself.
Oh.
So that's handy. Because I was thinking, I'm like, so you're wearing cloth armor under a vac suit. That's got to be
You can get some
bulky as
endurance
fuck.
back though,
Yeah.
right?
No, it's
No,
the
it's
same
not.
as what he was wearing.
Yeah, it's down.
Oh.
But I was just looking at this, and I'm like, oh, well,
That's the protection.
shit. So,
Yeah, so I'm on auto mode with my advanced combat
Diplo
rifle.
vests go on.
burst or auto.
With this it has auto 3 and a scope.
So if you do burst, you can add 3 to your damage, which is the auto score.
Okay.
Burst, here's the problem with auto fire. You are in, I would say, Chubb's area is probably the width, probably the size of this room. If you went auto, you would likely hit them too.
Okay. Fine. Then I won't.
I mean, yeah, you could hit everybody.
No.
That's what we would do if we were playing D&D. Yeah, just throw the fireball.
Yeah.
Fuck it, I can take it.
Mm.
I got 192 hit points. I don't care.
Okay. Alright, so then I guess I won't.
But you could do burst fire.
Okay. Then that's so burst.
So it's gun combat plus dex.
14. Suck it, Captain.
Okay.
Captain No
So
Face.
Captain No Face. Captain sucked into the void.
14, you say?
Yeah.
That is a +6. That is a critical hit.
Okay. And it's 3. 6. Ha! 13.
Fuck yeah.
19. How's plan A looking now, bitches?
Uh-huh.
Maybe it's time for plan B.
So he takes 11 points.
Time for plan B. Eat a bag of dicks.
He still has 2 decks left, but you go and essentially his right arm holding his gun is obliterated, and his suit self-seals, but
He's about to fill that suit up with blood.
and that right
Skin
and
is
that
not gonna drown.
and that arm is never going to function again.
And
now he can't. At least that's one fewer to fire on us too.
And so he's
'Cause he's lost
screaming.
his gun.
Yeah, his gun is still in the hand of
On the ground.
his gloved suit.
I'm gonna say-
but his arm is like
Yeah.
floating back and forth.
My miniature action. I think you dropped something.
Raf, what would you like? You've still got the captain aimed in your sights. You got a +1 to, I would say at this point, because he just took a critical hit, you have a +2 to hit him. Or you could shoot April, but you would lose your bonuses. But you could end the captain.
Gonna get ended anyways. April's gonna get some. She's the one that fucking actually hurt someone here. I'll avenge you, buddy.
Sounds good.
You don't mess with my crew.
That's right.
Or not.
Oh my god.
We're a goddamn pirate gang.
Maybe you don't avenge anyone.
Snake eyes.
Wow. That
Please
is...
don't say that means that she set off the bomb.
Well, here's the good thing.
The case closed.
Here's the good thing. The crit fails technically only happen like a few points in the game. There's like during character creation, if you roll snake eyes, some shit can happen. But that's not the case any other time. So with your gun
I think
combat,
my bonus would have helped much.
yeah, well, with your gun combat plus dexterity and your 2, what did you get?
With gun combat and dexterity and 2, it would have been 5.
And it's a laser pistol, so
Yeah.
that's only a -3. That's not, let's see, -2 to 5 is just an average failure.
Mm-hmm.
So her laser pistol hits some cargo netting on the side of the wall behind April, but clearly is not going to.
We don't suddenly have a hole in the ship.
No, you don't
Or a
have.
bomb
You
about
haven't
to
blown
go
a hole
off.
in the ship.
Okay.
Anything with minor action, you could move. Like you could move to the airlock, or you could move into the cockpit compartment.
Yeah, I think April's going out the airlock.
Well, I have a question.
After we adopt.
Yeah.
What if I move quickly to crash into something?
Who are you going to crash into? Or what?
April.
Sure. Make
I use
a.
my movement to run at her.
Grapple her.
I don't even know if I can grapple, but you know, I'll fling myself at her.
Yeah.
Do you have any athletics abilities? Like, do you have athletic strength?
Yep. I have athletic 0.
Make-
Nondescript athletics.
Make an athletics strength check.
5.
So, you go to ram into April, and she sidesteps and throws you into the crates. You are now prone and kind of tangled up in cargo net. You don't take any damage now. Keith, what do you want? You just got shot.
I
You're
know.
clearly unhappy about this situation.
So I want to use my first minor action to turn off the machine, the whatever it's called.
Oh, you're gonna turn off the emergencies?
The emergencies, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck your
you can
life
do that.
support
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your buddy.
Fuck these guys. Like,
Yeah.
out. Unplug
We've got
your,
2 of your crew down.
unplug your
We're gonna get the
extension
rest of
cord.
you, but 2 of you are dead now.
Yeah, you reach down and unplug them, and they go, pew, and you hear Garb go, those sons of bitches are gonna kill our friends.
Damn straight.
Dude,
You're gonna watch.
They started this shit. Why are they surprised?
That's not fair.
And then I will use.
Oh,
They're
bro.
being dirty. Oh.
And then I will shoot April with my advanced combat rifle.
All right.
Do it.
Burst mode, I can only assume.
First one, yeah.
Yeah.
8, 9.
That's a +1 to damage.
All right.
And not only +1, but that's auto 3. So that's +4 to damage for burst.
Okay, cool. So, 17.
Oof.
Yes.
She takes
Rise.
9.
Make you rise.
April she's kind of beefy. She's got 8 endurance. So her dex is down to 6. Yeah,
Okay.
that definitely got April's attention.
Nice.
All right, and then Garv gets to go. What is Garv? Now,
Is Garv reaching
Garv's
his
not
legs
using
right
his
now?
shotgun. Garv is using a snub pistol. He is going to shoot. He's going to shoot at Ching Shihh
Do it.
because Ching Shihh is up, and it looks like she's probably the bigger threat. Garv. 8. He just hit. Like, no bonus damage. He just hit.
Okay.
So, but he only does 9 points of damage. What's your armor?
17.
It goes pew off your armor.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna need something way bigger than that, like maybe a fusion gun or something like that. But so we are back to April. April is pretty unhappy. So she's going to shoot at Raf. And miss completely because she only has a +0 to her dex now, and she misses.
Whiffed it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Alright.
Even with Raf being
Prone.
Prone.
she misses.
All that disadvantage.
Delaney continues to scream, but uses a minor action to reach over and grab his pistol with his left hand. And so he's going to take a shot at Ching Shihh with a bane,
Okay.
because he's using his left hand,
And in intense pain and screaming.
and gets a 3.
Awesome.
And so he misses entirely.
Great.
Ching Shihh, what do you want to do?
I wanted to shoot April.
All right, go for it. Fuck that bitch.
Fuck that bitch. Okay. 11. I'm doing good. 11, 13. 14 again.
Yeah. That is a +6 to damage, +3 for auto fire. So the +9. You're gonna do. You just critted on April. April might not be around anymore.
7 plus 9 is 16.
So she takes another 8. That she is now. You pepper her chest. She is now unconscious, and just kind of like floating back and forth, and you see blood coming out of her vac suit.
I love it.
She's not dead, but she is unconscious.
Okay, so
She has 4 points of strength left.
So with my minor action, I'm going to offer the crew the break. Like, this can be over. No, I guess the Penace won't have a break, but like, that's
Well, you
They-
tie them up. You got plenty of cargo netting.
Right, right. But I mean, like, you know, they can surrender and, you know, let us deal with them and get out of here, or we can put them back on their ship.
Make a persuasion check with a boon dice.
At this point, I'm done playing.
Done fucking with these guys.
Oh, but I will not have persuaded them with anything.
You,
Oh wait, I got a boon.
Yeah, take
Not that much better.
the
I
two
rolled
highest.
2, and now I have 3 with a 0 for persuade and 2 for intellect. I got a 5. I guess we're killing him the old-fashioned way.
Raf, what do you want to do? They haven't answered yet. Garv has got a snub pistol out.
Seriously thinking about it.
I use a minor action to stand up.
Okay. God, that makes so much more sense. Oh, I'm prone. I'll use a bonus action to stand up rather than spend half your movement. So here's the fucked up thing. Your movement is 30 feet. She's a tabaxi.
My movement's like 60.
Her movement's like 60. So why does it only cost you 15 feet in D&D to stand up? It costs her fucking 30. Why not just make it a bonus action and then it's equal for everybody?
I like that. I like that as a house rule.
I kind of like it too. Now, I asked Jeremy Crawford that very question. You know what he said? He didn't want to answer the question. He said, because we wanted it to cost half. Okay, but that's not equitable.
Right.
I mean, if you're going for balance, that is the opposite of balance.
Yep. Yep.
So April's unconscious. The captain still thinks he's got a shot.
He's
switched,
trying.
He switched hands with his.
Yeah,
gun,
he's
right?
shooting left-handed,
He's got
so.
like a flaily bony baby arm.
So, I mean,
hanging
he could be
out.
shooting a BB gun and everybody's in danger.
Yeah, and Garvey over there's got a little pop pistol. Okay.
Yeah. The thing about snub pistols, you actually have snub pistols. They are in your ship's locker. They're probably always in your ship's locker, right next to the cutlasses. The reason why snub pistols are in the ship's locker next to the cutlasses is that if you're aborted, one, a snub pistol is not going to penetrate the hull, and two, it has the 0G trait, so it has a recoilless system built into it. So you can fire it, and if you're in 0G, you're not going to go flying backwards.
Nice.
Well, I'm gonna try to put that captain dude down.
All right. Yeah. Fuck him.
Fuck him. Plus combat with the weapon is a 6. Not enough to hit.
No. Well. Yes, I'm going to say it just hits because he is kind of fuckered. He's only got one arm and bleeding out, and I'm going to say that yes, that is going to be a routine check. And it's not like he has any room to run around and flail his busted arm all over the place. So yeah, so roll damage. There's no bonus to damage.
Sure. 15.
Oof. He is unconscious. She drills him right in the chest, and he just goes limp. Still standing upright, but kind of swaying back and forth.
So we've got
And there's
Liquefied.
Garv.
April is liquefied and bleeding out in her vac suit, but technically alive.
And-
Basically, captain's in the same boat.
As a free action, Raf will yell, "You're dead either way, motherfucker!"
Yes.
Garv drops his weapon and holds up his hands and goes, "We're not bad people."
Great. You can figure out how to deal with this bomb on your ship. We're putting you back on it. That's personally my opinion. I'm not saying that on behalf. That's outside of.
Oh
I'm
no!
not saying
No,
that
no,
on
no.
behalf.
It's
But-
all. We're keeping
Everything's gone.
We're keeping
yeah.
everything except for you and the bomb and these dead bodies. Like.
So being pirates, all of you make an intellect check.
Yeah, I would say we'll take what we can get in 20 hours and just leave them, or scuttle the ship in our wake. What check are we doing? I'm sorry.
Intellect.
10.
13.
5 actually.
You got a 10, you got 13. On your 13, you realize Captain Delaney wasn't lying. You could sell that. Either you could bring it back to King Oleb.
But so are
You
we
could
contracted
sell it on Thief.
Are we contracted with King Olib yet?
Yes.
In the timeline? Because I thought
no, you're
I
not.
thought we hadn't met the King
Oh
Olib
yeah, no,
until
yeah.
after. No, I don't.
You have the Harrier when you went to Marduk.
Okay.
Yeah, you weren't.
I'm not gonna say we.
I'm
don't
not the
have
note
this
keeper for this
benefit.
campaign.
Yeah, no,
so.
you have the Harrier.
Okay.
So Marduk was the first place you went. So you are with King Oleb. You could bring this back to King Oleb. You could sell this to archaeologists. You could sell this on Thief. Minimum eyeball for just this crate. You're looking at minimum 25,000. That's times 1. That's if you don't make a decent, 8+ broker check.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna leave that up too.
I mean, you guys can vote on it.
Yeah.
I'm down voting the biological weapons.
So Garv tells you what really happened. What really happened? They went to Noricum to do some fruit trading, as it's called. And basically they traded basic tech for whatever people on Noricum can find out, sifting out of the ruins.
And they found this one.
And they found this and didn't know what they had. But the captain and the rest of the crew knew. Well, the chief engineer was like, we are not selling a bomb, and was going to, when they
That's
came
why
out
they're
of jump
lower.
space, was going to eject it.
That's why the engineer got shot.
The medic drew a pistol and shot, but he shot on burst fire, clipped the engineer, and also ruptured a fuel line to their jump drive, which ignited the hydrogen and blew out the side of their ship. The rest of the crew put them into emergency low berth and knew that their ship was doomed, and put out a distress call and made the decision that if somebody came to rescue them, their only option at this point was to take their ship to continue operating.
Yeah, that turned out real good.
Yeah,
This fucking bomb is cursed.
I agree.
Look at all the fucking trouble it
I
brought
mean, I
people,
know-
and
I know, like-
they're still looking for more trouble
I know
with this
our
bomb.
boss would love it. I know it would restore
But
honor.
they don't know
blah,
can't
blah,
hurt
blah.
'em.
Exactly. No one but the 3 of us know.
Yeah, nobody
that
but the
this
people
bomb
at this
is
table
here.
and the internet knows about the fact.
None of us want to deal with it. So I, personally, this is just my vote. My vote is we put everyone back on the ship, and then we tell the scientists that we couldn't save them.
Yeah, and it'll just burn up in the atmosphere.
And then just disengage.
What do you do about
Wait,
Garv?
wait,
Garv is
Garv's
still
going
alive.
back on his ship.
wait a second.
And you're just gonna let him
I have
die?
no problem with that.
We still got the 2 people in the pods.
But it's not the pod people's fault.
It's
See,
not,
I would-
that's what I'm saying. It's not
I
that we
would-
can plug them
yeah,
back in.
that's-
I
the thing.
unplugged them. But
I
Garv
would say, yeah, but
plug 'em back
Drops
in.
to his knees and starts pleading for his life.
But I say plug the pod people back into their things, because whether it was by accident that they fired, it sounds like, at least according to Garf, that it was in protest of the plan that
Yeah.
all that happened. So they're in their pods because they did not.
Garv
want
is
anything
now
to do with the
sobbing in his space
pod.
helmet.
Oh no, that's fine. Drown in those tears.
Our rap doesn't give any fucks.
What
either.
their luck, Yarch!
She's going back over
Stop
there.
it. The grown-ups are talking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
We came to help you. You pulled guns on us. You were gonna
Yeah.
fuck us up and
It's
sink
like,
our
I'm
ship.
just doing what
Nope,
the
This
captain
was
told
a
me.
terrible plan. This was a terrible plan that you
And
made.
you're trying to sell biological
And he
weapons on the
fired-
black market.
Garf
Coming
fired
in
on
here
us.
telling me we're not bad people. Fuck off.
Yeah, and Garf fired on us too. It wasn't just Captain Eddie.
April that fired on us too.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So,
I
that's
need to get the
like-
med kit out, start treating your
Yeah.
fucking wounds.
Yeah.
Let's plug in the pod people. Get you the medic treatment that
So
you need.
you have medic skill.
Yeah, I
Go ahead and make a medic plus EDU check to patch him up.
I say we send him
And you,
Yeah,
Raf, while
Make
she's doing that,
Garv
you're putting Garv and the
right
two unconscious
back.
guys back on to the Jolly Joel.
And then we'll just tell the scientists we tried everything we could. We tried to save them. And we
Garv's like, no, Papa,
Look here now,
don't leave
Garv.
me.
You've got 48 hours to make your peace. I suggest you spend it trying to get your head right.
that, and maybe while you're over there, dismantle their voice comms so that as we're like, no, we tried to help, and Gar's like, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. Come back and save me. Like maybe we dismantle that part of their comms
Yeah, let's
so that
disable their comms.
they
Keep
can't
it sharp
send out a
and
voice
right,
message.
not trustworthy on the outside of their ship.
Oh, I know. 7, 1. That's
So,
8.
do you have mechanical or mechanic?
I do.
Go ahead and make a mechanics check.
I got 9 on the medic check.
Okay, so you can add one more to. So, did you take any strength or dexterity damage?
No.
You can add one to your endurance,
Okay.
and you're stabilized. You are. You won't take any more damage. What'd you get on your?
Mechanic?
Yeah.
What do I add to that?
It would be mechanic plus your choice, intellect or EDU.
8.
So yeah, your idea for disabling their comms is you go over and you grab the wires and
Yeah.
go rip,
It is yank out. Yeah.
and you're like, see you, Garv, and you shut the door and Garv's like, no, and Ching Shihh, make a piloting check.
Because it just, like, maybe if he hadn't fired.
And what are you
I'd have
doing
to
with the
see.
bioweapon?
That's
We
going,
put it
that's going back on
we
their
put it
boat
back on the
too.
ship. We don't
Yeah.
want it.
Okay.
We don't want it. They wanted to save that bioweapon at all costs. Well, guess what? They got it.
Okay.
I'm
The other
totally
crates.
fine with that.
The other crates, Keith, you discovered that the other crates, and I need to write this down,
9,
are
12, 14
Ships
on the
are-
piloting.
They're ship shares.
ship spares. So
Nice.
specifically Sindalian spares. So right now you have 8 structural repair units. You now have 16.
Wow.
Nice.
You had 2 technical repair units. You now have 10. You had 3 cosmetic repair units. You have 11. And so just so you know, the Harrier and all of its repairs, I'm keeping track of
Nice.
and all of that.
Nice.
That way I know
Thank you.
exactly where all of that is, because they didn't come out with a form editable PDF for this, which I wish they would, because then you could just do it all online.
Like a ship's character sheet?
Yeah, there is a ship's character. It's not very good, but yeah, basically like a ship's character sheet, because the Harrier, when you first get it, has massive problems, and so there's 3 different types of these antique parts that you can get to repair it, and so I have to keep track of when you find these, of what they are. The last crate that you find is a crate of ammo for the missile launcher.
Oh, more
There is
missiles.
another 2 racks. There's 24 missiles in here.
24 missiles for the missile.
A rack, one rack in the missile launcher is 12 missiles before it needs to be reloaded.
Nice.
Unfortunately, because it is a missile turret, it only fires 1 missile at a time, but you know, whatever. So,
My pilot check was 14.
okay. So you undock and you
Get the fuck
floor it.
out.
And
Enjoy your bio bomb.
you are on a rendezvous course to meet up with Insight 3, and you, in the rear view, after like basically 3 days, you see the ship fall in, and you see.
Did any of those three fuckers have any good weapons we might?
Not really.
No.
They had auto pistols, a shotgun, a snub pistol. There were 2 auto pistols, a snub, and a shotgun. That's it. I don't know if you want to keep that.
Take a shotgun. Just
Sure.
You know.
Shotguns in Central Supply catalog.
Probably not to use. Probably just to
Yeah, under personal defense in the in there. You can write that down. The crew of Insight 3 is disappointed at your account. They believe you completely. They're like, oh, that's too bad that everybody was dead.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
But look at all this cool stuff we found. There's some artifacts in here you might be interested in.
Yeah, actually, there are. So they decide to cut their trip short. They will take on Noricum and Thebes themselves, and they return to Marduk for refueling and repairs, and they pay you all your full wage.
Nice. Class.
So,
Yay.
but they also buy some of the artifacts from the crates from you. So you all make 25,000 each. And you all get a skill point.
Yay.
Yay.
Now, I don't know if you want to spend that now or save it.
So what? A skill point. What can we spend it on?
Oh,
And
my,
also,
so many things.
how do we train them?
So, skill points.
Because I know like we can't just put them anywhere.
So, let me find it. Training and experience, page 38. So we're using the alternate rules. Well, that can't be right. This again. Oh, here we go.
Dang, I just
So,
realized how
if
late
you
it
want-
is.
If you want to spend your skill point,
Okay.
those charts there tell you how you can spend it. Does that make sense?
Okay. So gaining skills.
Now, if you wanted to wait until Wednesday,
Yeah, I'm gonna check.
because
that out.
I've already got a page on Roll20 that's dedicated to those charts,
Okay.
so we can do it then. That's
Let's
fine.
do that. It's
I didn't know it was after 10 o'clock. I need to go home before my honey goes to bed without me.
Yeah, we just barely made it.
That was so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were only 15 minutes late. That actually, I was actually worried. I was like, I don't know if we're gonna get through this. But then I was thinking about the other one-offs, and I'm like, so I ran those at 2 4-hour sessions, and there was barely enough to get through 8 hours. I'm like, I bet that if I just ran this with no extra shit and just got right to it, we could bang this out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
but yeah, that's, I mean, these little adventures are good for at least a 3-hour session.
That's awesome.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like they're kind of worth the money.
Totally.
That was great. Thank you.
Well, I am glad you enjoyed it. I mean, you came away with some cash, some experience, and
Should I clean up here?
oh, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it.
Alright.
I'm good with that. I gotta come in and clean up anyways.
Right. Yeah. I know. Yeah, there's so much more dynamic going on. Yeah.